start the meeting, and hopefully the mayor and Judy will join us. It is 7:30. So I will open the meeting. This meeting is held in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act 10:4-6 at SEEK. Annual notice having been forwarded to the New Jersey Herald and the New Jersey Sunday Herald and posted on the bulletin board maintained in the municipal building for public announcements. Would everybody please rise and join us in a salute to the flag? I've got a flag here behind me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I would like to welcome Gavin Legion. His father, Justin, is one of our board members who hasn't been with us the last couple of meetings and is here not here tonight. But Gavin was just born recently. So welcome to Gavin Legion. Would the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Bongiovanni?
Here.
Mr. Duncan?
Here.
Mr. Gaffney?
Here.
Mrs. Crock?
Here.
Mr. Leggio? Ray Hill? Mr. Ray? Mr. Riley?
Here.
Mr. Chapin? Councilman Schindler?
Here.
Mayor Francis?
I just got off the phone with him. He's trying to get on.
Okay.
I don't see him trying to get in yet.
Well.
Okay, and then Mr. Gilbert.
Yes, here. Okay, we also have fill-ins for our professionals. Samantha is here in place of John Rushke, and Michelle is here in place of Bill Haggerty. And we do have Bill, where are you?
Donegan.
Bill Donegan is here someplace. I don't see him
Here.
on my screen at the moment.
He's here.
There he is,
I'm here.
right in the middle. Okay, we have no continued applications. So we will get, before we get into the applications, I want to mention that we do have at least 5 bits of correspondence. And there are certain things that are similar on all 5 of them. So I would like to read those things to you. They all come from the Lake Hopatcong Commission. Lake Hopatcong Commission generally does try to pop up and give us some input from their perspective on our applications. We take it as hearsay testimony. We don't put a lot of stock into it, but I do want to mention that all 5 of these have basically similar comments on them. So I will read those comments. First, some applications remain below the impervious coverage limit for property, others go above. The commission recommends that the applicant consider incorporating green stormwater infrastructure on their property for this reason. Rain gardens can be included after construction is complete, and in the spring of 2021, the commission is offering a free rain garden design program with up to $450 rebate for residents in the Lake Hopatcong watershed. Also, the commission reminds the applicant that trees and other plant species can act as a buffer that reduces the flow of stormwater to Lake Hopatcong. Large trees may aid in stormwater mitigation through capture of rainfall within the canopy and promotion of stormwater infiltration into the soil. If the applicant is considering additional plantings, native plant species typically contribute greater ecosystem services than their non-native counterparts. Vegetative buffers along the shoreline, specifically along the bulkhead where the applicant's driveway runs to the lake, can drastically reduce the transport of nutrients, chemicals, and particulate matter to the lake. Finally, maintaining the trees and plants that are already present on property can help mitigate stormwater. Overland stormwater flow increases nutrient load as well as particulates, resulting in the promotion of aquatic plants and algae blooms. And finally, the applicant has not indicated that they intend to use fertilizer for establishing new vegetation on site. However, because phosphorus and nitrogen contribute to the intensity and frequency of algal blooms on Lake Hopatcong, the commission recommends that the lake municipalities go beyond the state regulations and prohibit the use of fertilizer. As an alternative, the commission recommends the use of sod or native plant species that do not require the use of fertilizer for their establishment. This will reduce the availability of nutrients within the watershed, thereby reducing the potential for nutrient loading to Lake Hopatcong. On behalf of the commission, we greatly appreciate your continued support in preserving and enhancing the natural beauty of Lake Hopatcong. If you have any questions regarding these recommendations, please contact Colleen Lyons. If you have any further questions or concerns, please reach out to me directly, and it is signed by H. Ronald Smith, Chairman of the Lake Hopatcong Commission. For all of you applicants, you don't receive these letters. They are directed to the Land Use Board and other people on the board. But if you want to have Colleen's phone number or Mr. Smith's phone number, I'm sure you can call Danielle and get that.
Alan,
With that introduction,
Alan,
yes.
all those letters have been sent to the applicants.
Oh, good. Thank you very much. With that information, we will then go right to the new applications.
Oh,
First-
minutes.
Oh, minutes. Where are they? Oh, there they are. Motion. Minutes of the meeting of October 6, 2020 have been distributed electronically. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
None.
Seeing none, I will entertain a motion for approval of the minutes.
I'll make that
Motion
motion.
to approve.
Second.
Mr. Bongiovanni,
Yes.
Mr. Duncan,
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney,
Yes.
Mrs. Crock,
Yes.
Mr. Riley,
Yes.
Councilman Schindler,
Yes.
Mayor Francis,
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert.
Yes. So now we will go to the new applications. James Delarina, Block 31301, Lot 52, 14 Bonaparte Point Road. Applicant would like to put a shed in the front yard and build a deck off the back of the house. And there are some variances associated with it. Is Mr. Delarina here?
I am.
Ah, there he is. Okay.
Just a correction, it's 15 Bonaparte, not 14.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I have 15. I don't know why I said 14. Okay.
I mistyped.
Okay.
Alan, is this D variance or no?
No.
No,
Okay.
no, it's not. Okay, Mr. Delarina, are you in receipt of the letter from Mont McDonald dated September 10th, 2020?
Yes, I am.
Okay. If you
Alan,
don't-
should he be sworn in first?
What? Oh, yes.
Sworn in.
Thank you. Michelle, do you want to swear him in, please?
Yes, Mr. Delarina, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you
Right.
God.
I do.
And you are the owner?
My wife and I, Lisa.
Please. Very good.
And will anybody else be testifying on your behalf, Mr. Delarina?
No, just myself.
Okay. The application has been deemed complete, and therefore we will hear it tonight. Let's look at the technical review, which is in the letter. Number one, the flood hazard area in the riparian zone, as well as permit by rule number 16 for the construction of a deck. Are you aware of that, sir?
I am.
Okay. That's not a problem, is it?
It's not. I comply with the criteria.
Okay. Now, number two, location of the septic field serving the dwelling should be identified if applicable. Is there a septic field, sir?
There is a septic field.
And where is it?
It is on the opposite side of the home where the deck is being constructed. And it's next to the garage if you have the survey in front of you.
Yes, I do. Okay, so you will have to indicate that on the survey, okay?
It's on the survey. What do I need to
Is it?
indicate?
I'm looking.
Yeah, it is on the survey right next to it. It's just written real small, Alan.
Okay, yeah.
It says septic.
Okay. All right, as long as it's there. Do you have a well, sir?
I do.
And is that on the survey?
It is. It's on the opposite side of the septic. You'll see a little square box. It's labeled well.
Okay. Does anybody else see that? This is so small, I have trouble seeing it.
Jim, is that right next to where the patio pavers are, sidewalk on the right side of the house? Looking at the
is.
water?
Yes.
Right
Okay.
to the left of 200, in the center of the house.
Exactly, where the curve
Correct.
is, starts.
That's correct.
Okay, got it. All right. Okay, and service line, I assume goes right from the well directly into the house? Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay. Let's see. Proposed deck will have impact on the existing rock wall, will it?
No, it will not.
Okay, so the walls will be under the deck in that corner there?
It's actually, you'll see the left-hand corner. It's
Yes.
not nowhere near the wall where the footing will go.
Okay. All right, and shed location. You want to just mention why you're proposing to put the shed in the front of the house instead of in the rear or on the side?
There's really not enough room in the back of the home, which is the lakefront side of it, to put the shed. The topography of the land also is a little inclined on the back. The front area actually is leveled and is more conducive of placing the shed
Okay.
based off the property layout.
Hey,
Yes,
Jim, when I went and drove past it today, where you're proposing to put the shed, what's the elevation compared to the road? Is that dropped down in a little nook?
It does.
Okay. So what, you're probably a drop down of about 4 or 5 feet?
That's correct.
Okay.
All right, and is that going to cause any pooling of water, sir?
No, it will not. And it's actually away from the strain drainage where the pipe goes down my property.
Right.
It's away from that too, so it's not going to be interfering with that's there too.
Okay, does anybody from the board have other questions or concerns about this application?
I'd like to see some details on what is the shed and what is the deck. This is kind of an open-ended thing. I don't have any details at all on it, right?
All you have is dimensions.
That's correct, but you could build whatever you want then. You got
Right.
approval.
Oh, I know.
I need to see something to know what you want to build. I mean, the size of the shed is fairly large. That's almost a garage. I don't even know how, other than the line, that's all I have. And as for the deck, it's the same thing. I don't know about stairs. I don't know about anything with it. Zero. It's a what if. So I don't view this as complete.
So what would you be looking for in terms of further detail that I could provide?
Some kind of design. There's no
Well, actually,
design here other than layout. This is a square. I want to build a deck. I want to build a shed. What is it?
Well, that would be the building department,
So what's
Rob.
it?
No, we do this all the time, Mike. We ask for people to give
Yes.
us a design, but we don't say, draw a square and we'll anticipate what you're going to give us.
Yeah, but we don't get into construction. That's the building code.
But we're
We
approving
just
something.
look
have
at the
no idea what
location.
it's gonna
I'm
look
sorry,
like.
but we're not gonna approve architecture. That's the building department.
Like,
He's
we
gotta
have no
build it to
idea what
code.
this is. No,
He's
no,
got to
sir.
build it to code.
No, but we don't know what it is. We've had this leap before. We have no indication of what this deck is, how it's built, where it's supported, anything. That's our job.
No,
Their
it's
job
not.
is to make
That's the
sure it's
building
No,
department's
No,
job.
it's
I'm
not.
sorry.
That's the building
Their job is
department.
to make sure it's per code. Our
That-
job is to make sure it doesn't offend the owners and the neighboring properties. That's our job.
That's what
This
the
is
outline of
what-
it does.
What?
That's what the outline defines.
No,
The
it
building,
defines a
the
square box.
construction itself, we don't do construction, Bob.
We're not doing
Shouldn't.
construction. We just
We
want to
just-
know
what
what the
you just
design
said.
is. Look at what we asked for when we get a set of plans showing the room layout, the outside facade.
This is a shed. I mean, this is a deck. It's not a room.
Yeah, but we don't have any information about the height of the shed.
Nothing.
No, I'm talking about the deck.
Zero.
On the
Okay.
full size,
Well, I
If I
thought we
may.
were talking about both. Bill, go ahead.
the full size plan, the notation on the deck inside in the square of the deck, it says it's going to be a 10-foot high deck, I believe. I'm looking for it here again. It's a 10 by 18 by 10-foot high shed.
The shed or the
Just to
deck?
clarify, Bill, you meant the 10-foot high shed, correct? Not the deck.
The shed,
Yeah,
no, the
it's a
deck.
shed,
I was
right, 10 by
speaking to the
18 by
shed.
10 feet high.
That could be a garage.
The deck?
No, the shed, he's saying.
Oh, okay. We're done with the deck.
It's a big structure. And we should know what it looks like.
Perhaps would it help if the applicant would provide some testimony and describe what he's planning to build, what the facade of the shed would be like, what types of doors he anticipates putting on it, and similar for the deck, some testimony
Jim-
on what the proposed construction is going to, kind of appear to be.
That should come with the application. I still
So
don't think
Jim, Jim, can you describe your shed? Because obviously the outside dimension is 10 by 18 listed and the height of it's only 10 feet. Is this a prefab shed like from the Amish guy in Bud Lake, or is this something else you're having someone construct?
So I haven't picked out a shed, but yeah, it would be from Amish's Mike on 46 would be where I'd be purchasing from, a standard shed that is over there. Haven't decided on whether it would be, what type of material on the outside, if it would be a wood or a vinyl siding. I envision a door in the center of it so I can get in and out of it with the lawn equipment. It is not a garage. It's not going to have a garage door on it, nor is there going to be any vehicles parked in it. It's going to be for, my tools, my bicycles, my lawnmower, my snow blower. Garage is rather small, and that's where I envision putting all that type of equipment. And even the way it's laid out, the garage, it's going to be impossible for it to be used as a garage by the way it's laid out. The deck is going to be a standard wood deck. It'll comply with all the building code. There's been no objection from any of the neighbors. So if the desire here is to protect the neighbors, the view of it, the construction of it, they have the opportunity to testify against it here at this meeting. No one has expressed a concern. It'll be a standard looking deck that'll comply with the building codes.
Are there going to be any steps coming off the deck?
There will be steps coming off the deck. There'll be
It's not shown on the drawing.
It is on the drawing there.
The steps off the deck?
Yes, it's actually.
Oh,
On
I
the
see it.
right side, right?
If you put
It's a
it
little
back up,
corner. It's that little corner side. I got it.
yeah, I envision about actually 3 or 4 steps coming off the deck. It looks as though the prior owners had steps there, and it's going to be coming down on the same platform, that's still existing there.
I didn't see a little square sitting there. We're coming off the deck. Sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, I didn't see it either.
Yeah, that's the advanced design.
Yeah, it's tough doing it on Zoom when you don't have a full paper, but, even with a small 8 by 11. But that's what we have to deal with Zoom.
Right.
The other question I have is the deck going to be, the posts on the deck, are they going to be at the corners or are you going to cantilever the front of it?
It would be at the corners.
Okay.
Jim, this is Anthony. Regarding the shed, is it possible to rotate it 90 degrees and move it back further on the lot to help minimize the side yard and the front yard setback issues? Where, move it back where it's on the gravel stone part as marked?
Yeah, it's a little deceiving by the way it's drawn there. The gravel actually starts to do an incline, so it's not level there a distance. But what's not on here actually is the storm, pipe that comes off the street that is right on the property line between my property and my neighbors. So if I turn it the other way, I don't want to interfere with that. I don't want to be close to that at all. So the way it's set up now, the distance from the property line of my neighbors compared to where I want to put the shed is further on my property than closer to the neighbors or that pipe.
Okay.
You're talking about rotating it towards the driveway, not towards the lot line.
Right.
Right. That avoids the variance need.
Right. Well, I don't know if it completely avoids it, but
No, it doesn't avoid the variance. I think the variance needs to be like a 40-foot setback based off the average I was advised.
the side yard though setback.
Side yard.
Oh, the side.
Because you pick up another 4 feet. My math is correct.
Right.
So Jim, if a car is on the road looking out towards your house into the lake, when that shed is there, and you're sitting in a car, are you even going to see this shed, or are you just going to see like the roof of it maybe? Because
My
it's
guess is you're going to see the tip of it because it's below, the street level.
Right, because it's up so high, the street.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
What about making it a few feet smaller so it doesn't use the side setback? Make it 12 foot by 10, standard size. Avoid a variance.
Yeah, actually, if you turn it sideways, you pick up 8 feet.
Yes.
If it's against the same line on the right. So then you don't have that side yard setback. You should consider it 16 and a half feet.
Correct.
And required is 15.
Where is that stormwater drain?
It's right along the property line of my neighbors and my property. So where that dotted line goes in there, it goes right down to the lake.
Okay, so if you did turn turned it 90 degrees clockwise, that would give you, it would move you another 8 feet away from that pipe. Is that correct?
So I'm not following that. It is 8 feet already from the pipe.
It's 8.5 feet.
Right.
And if you take that shed and turn it clockwise 90 degrees, you'll pick up another 8 feet.
And you'll be 16 and a half feet away from that pipe.
Correct.
Oh, but then aesthetically, I'm not going to be able to use the long side of the shed to get in and out with my equipment. It's going to be too close to my driveway. There's a rock wall that is on my driveway. So there's not going to be enough room between the door and the driveway coming out.
Why can't the drawer be on the other elevation? The door's the door. You're still gonna have access to it.
I mean, aesthetically coming into my home, I would rather see the door than the back of the shed.
Well, but you could put the door on the 10-foot side of the shed. It doesn't have to be on the 18-foot portion.
But this is Anthony again. I'm not understanding if you turn it 90 degrees and you push it further back on the lot, so it almost intersects where the asphalt driveway is. Then you'd have the ability to put a door on that end facing the driveway. And set that up so it'd make it very easy to get everything in and out. Your front yard setback in much better shape. And your side yard wouldn't be a problem.
On a very tight street where you can't park on the street, and my driveway is very narrow as well. If I start pushing the shed up, I'm going to lose all my parking space there for my guests.
Okay.
We have parking right off the street there by the gravel and stone area, right across from where you're proposing the shed.
Right, that houses about 2 cars.
I think it should turn sideways and avoid the variances.
I agree.
All right, anything else from the board? All right, I will open this to the public. Would anybody from the public like to comment on this application? Any questions, any comments at all?
If anybody from the public wants to comment, go down to the reactions button at the bottom of your screen and just, I think it's
Either reactions or if you go to the participants, you can click on raise hand.
I don't see anyone, Alan.
Okay, I will bring it back to the board then. Would somebody from the board want to make an motion?
I'll make a motion to move it and approve it.
Okay, motion has been made.
What about to rotate it?
That's what he
Not
said.
as is.
He said, move it. And, right?
No, he said, I think he meant move the application.
No, move the application.
Not rotate the shed.
No, I.
Avoid
yes.
some of the variances.
Right, the motion is to move the application, to approve the application as it is presented to us.
I'll second that.
Did you get that, Danielle?
Yep.
Okay.
Mr. Bongiovanni?
I have to ask a question. Is it possible that we could separate the shed from the deck? I have a problem, you know, if we don't take another look in terms of how to orient the shed, so to make it a little, so it's more conforming.
Well, the motion is to accept the application as it was presented.
Can I pass on that for the time being?
Yeah, we'll come back to him,
All right.
Danielle.
Mr. Duncan?
No.
Mr. Gaffney?
No.
Mrs. Crock?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Councilman Schindler?
Yes.
Mayor Francis?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
No. Back to Mr. Bongiovanni, please.
Mr. Bongiovanni?
As presented, no.
Okay, what is the count on that, Danielle?
The tie.
It's a tie. Then it does not pass.
So the question is, if we insist on rotation, would we be able to get a vote that passes?
Well, if you insist on the rotation, if he agrees to rotate the shed, then I believe that takes that variance off the table completely. Is that correct, Samantha?
Rotating the shed would remove the side yard setback variance, but the other 4 variances would still be,
Okay.
you know, they would still stay. It would just remove one of the variances for the side yard setback to an accessory structure where 15 feet is required and 8.5 feet is proposed. If it was rotated, that would be a 16.5 foot setback. So that variance would not be required any longer.
Okay. Mr. Dellarina, do you want to agree to move the shed, or would you rather come back again?
I just need you to clarify exactly how the shed is supposed to be rotated with depth so I could comply.
Okay, I believe that what we are proposing to you is to turn the shed 90 degrees clockwise. Do you have that?
90 degrees clockwise, I follow.
Right. And I think, Mr. Bongiovanni, you also think that it should be moved back. Is that correct, sir?
I mean, you know, that helps to mitigate the front yard setback issue too. I certainly understand about the parking. I don't know if, you know, you could still park on the gravel stone by where the shed would have been if you pushed it back on the lot. But, you know, quite frankly, I think it would look a lot nicer if it was further back in the yard. We have these front yard setbacks for a reason.
Right.
Anthony, were you able to get out and look at the lot?
looked at the lot on Google Maps to take a look at it. I'm not sure whether the grade of it precludes that. If the grade of it precludes it, then it's a different issue.
Right. Well, that's what I wanted to explain. When I was there today, I got out and really looked at it, and that area between the front yard and whatever setback we're wanting is really drops down probably 5 feet. So the further you set it back towards the lake, the more of a view someone in the road is going to have of this shed. If it stays closer tucked in, you're really only going to see, the roof or maybe a little bit of the triangle peak.
Okay.
Turn it at 90 degrees.
Right.
I don't think you get it back 40 feet anyway to eliminate the variance. So, I mean,
exactly.
I think the location in the front, the 10-foot is okay. I just would like to see the side one readjusted with
Right.
road.
Right. I'm good with it
Gotcha.
if we could turn the shed, right? And the door could still be in the same spot. It's just going to be on a different side of the shed, if you will, but you would still enter it the same way.
I think for clarification purposes, is it correct to say that the 18-foot length of the shed, so the longer edge of the shed, you want that to run parallel with the side yard setback?
That is
As
correct.
opposed to now, it runs parallel with the right of way.
Yes.
So, to the applicant, does that make more sense to rotate it so the 18 feet is parallel with your side yard setback,
And
and
the
the
side,
10 feet is parallel to the roadway?
so the side yard setback being 10 feet from the neighbor's property?
No,
No.
13 and a half feet.
16 and a half feet. So right now, you have, Danielle, can you put the plan back up? I think that might help if we can.
It only has to be 15 feet, right? It doesn't have to be, it doesn't
No,
have to be 16 and a half.
It only
It has to be at least 15 feet.
But if he rotates it, he'll end up with 16 and a half, so the need for that variance goes away.
Right. But he could also shift it over 1.5 feet closer to the side yard setback and still be conforming if he rotates it.
That's true. Right.
To the minimum. That's all.
Yes.
Okay, so I understand that. It'll be 15 feet from the neighbor's property. And how far off the street?
10 feet is
10 feet as you have it proposed.
10 feet? Okay.
And as far as you're concerned about looking at the side rather than the front of the shed, they do have lots of sheds which have windows, various decorative things on the side of the shed. So, you could select a shed that has a decorative portion facing your house.
Thank you for that recommendation.
So we want to try it again?
Okay, so Jim, are you okay with rotating it and taking another bite at the apple here?
I'll be fine with rotating it.
Okay. Now, I believe that somebody who voted against it has to make the motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Alan, I'll make
Yes.
a motion that we approve it with the rotation and that we also follow the things that are set forth with the survey in John Rushke's letter, item number 6, just so we know where we go with this. That was one thing.
I'll second it.
Mr. Bongiovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney?
Yes.
Mrs. Crock?
Yes.
Riley?
Yes.
Councilman Schindler?
Yes.
Mayor Francis?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes. Okay, Mr. Dellarina, you have the approval. The shed will be rotated so that the 18-foot section is parallel to your property line. And don't forget that when all is done, we need an updated survey with as-built information.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Memorialization,
Well,
should we ask him?
Jim, how soon do you want to move on this? Because you can ask for a waiver of a memorialization and you can actually then go and get your permit, tomorrow if you want.
I'm
It's up to
sorry,
you.
what does that mean?
Well,
Alan,
normally
explain.
we have a, next month, we would memorialize this action by passing a resolution. Normally, you cannot go and apply for building permits until we have memorialized. If you request a waiver of memorialization, then you could go for building permits as soon as tomorrow if you would like.
But you'd have to have a design.
Yes.
You can't walk in with nothing. So I don't know if that's a moot point.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not going to be constructing within the next month or buying the shed
Okay.
within the next month.
All right. Then we will move on to the next one. Okay? Mr. Chiriboga, Giovanni Chiriboga. Block 50208, lot 22, 239 Squaw Trail. The applicant would like to build a patio wall, rock wall by stream, and general landscaping. Variances being requested, et cetera, et cetera. Is Mr. Chiriboga here?
Can't hear him now.
I can't.
Is someone here representing
Right there,
Giovanni?
hold on. Trying to unmute him.
Okay.
It's not working. You're wearing a blue shirt, right?
Yes,
Yep,
sir.
there he
Yes,
is.
ma'am.
There we go. It was his computer.
Okay. You want to be sworn in, please, by our attorney, Michelle?
Okay. Mr. Chiriboga, can you raise your right hand? And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And your full name and address, please.
It's Giovanni Chiriboga, 330 South Morris Street, Randolph, New Jersey.
And the subject property is,
239 Squaw Trail in Andover.
and you're the owner of that?
Yes, me and my wife, Isela.
Will there be anybody else testifying today?
No, just myself.
Very good.
Okay, Mr. Chiriboga, are you in receipt of the letter from September 10th, 2020 from Mont McDonald?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's start by going over the technical review portion of that. Of course, it starts with the requirement that you have to go to the division of because it's located on Lake Hopatcong within the riparian zone, et cetera, et cetera. That is not a problem, is it? You understand what has to be done there, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Number two, due to the proposed proximity of the proposed rock wall to the existing stream, you have to minimize disturbance to the maximum extent practicable. The stream bed should not be modified in any way. Do you propose to modify the stream bed in any way?
Yes, sir.
Would you explain that, please? You said you do propose to modify the stream bed, or are you in agreement with number two?
I am in agreement with number two, sir.
Okay, thank you. Septic system servicing the dwelling. Do you have a septic system there?
Yes, sir.
And it is not indicated on the plans. Where is the septic system?
It's on the back patio of the house, right underneath the pavers.
Okay. I have a question for Samantha then. If the septic is under the pavers, does that create a problem, Samantha?
Just for clarification, it's on the rear of the property, closer to Lake Hopatcong, or it's on the paver patio, closer to Squaw Trail. Just for
The one
clarification.
by the frame dwelling.
Right, but there's two paver patios. There's one on either side, so I just wanted to clarify from
it's
the
under the
applicant. He
one
said it
that-
was in the rear. Did he mean the rear along Lake Hopatcong or the rear as it faces Squaw Trail? Because as we know, some of the houses on Lake Hopatcong, their front kind of is really on the lake. And
Squaw Trail.
Okay, so it's on the Squaw Trail. If it's a pre-existing condition and it's not being impacted by the construction in any way, I wouldn't have any concerns.
Okay.
It doesn't appear that the existing or the proposed construction is going to impact that area at all.
Okay. Number 4, location of existing well and service line. There is no well. Is that correct, Giovanni?
Yes, sir. There is no well.
Okay. The height of the proposed concrete wall and rock wall feature should be indicated. The rock wall, I believe that's number 2 on the plans. And that is not, you don't indicate the height of that. How high is that wall at the highest point?
The highest point of that wall is about 4 feet.
Okay. And I believe then that
Structural.
greater than 4 feet in height.
Correct. So if
Samantha,
the wall exceeds 4 feet, we would need to see structural calculations signed and sealed by a licensed professional engineer. So recommendation is don't exceed 4 feet unless you want to come back and
right.
present those calculations.
And I was over there the other day. That does present a problem because Giovanni has sprayed the wall with, what is that you sprayed it with, sir?
It's mortar.
He sprayed it with mortar. So it would be almost impossible for a structural engineer to get in there and really see what's going on.
Does the wall already exist?
Yes.
Yes.
Do all the improvements already exist or just the wall? Just for clarification.
Let's see, the pavers are there, the wall is there. Number 3, I guess they're all there.
Okay. So the record should reflect that all these conditions have already been constructed and relief is sought after the fact.
I think so. Is that correct, Giovanni?
Yes, sir, it is.
It is.
So we don't have to know how that wall is built because it's 4 feet below the 4 foot above range. So we don't know anything about its foundation.
If it's not above 4 feet, then you're correct.
Well, it would still be reviewed over by Bill Donegan in the building, or I guess Bill O'Connor, right, in the building department. But if it's under 4 feet, we don't need structural calculations that are signed and sealed by a licensed engineer.
Right.
Well, the only reason I say that is you got, well.
You have something, Bob?
Well, I see written on this paper is stream, and it's right, rock wall feature, all right? And I have a stream running right adjacent to it. How do I know how that works between what you did, what was there, and what we're getting now, what we have now? That seems a little ambiguous to me.
What I can't figure out is where's the stream come from?
Yeah, it usually goes to the lake. It's pointing away from it.
It's going the other way. And where does it start? It looks like it starts behind it starts right on the property. It looks like it's a drainage ditch on the property. I mean, usually a stream goes the other way, as you said, to the lake. This is going the other way. Where's the water coming?
No, that
going to
stream
fill
is
that
coming
stream
down
coming from
toward
the
the
property.
house.
Pardon me?
That stream flows toward the house.
And
the arrow shows it going the other way.
Oh, I see. I see what you mean.
Those arrows point in a different direction. It looks like it was whited out, and it just stopped magically by the wall.
The stream, I believe, does end up right in the lake. You're much higher elevation up by the Squaw Trail, heading down towards the lake.
Well, it doesn't show where the stream goes from there. It just stops.
Where's the pathway from its last point on this paper? That's my question.
I believe it's down along that masonry wall, and it ends up down by the dock that's down, which is on the neighbor's property. Is that correct, Mr. Giovanni?
The dock, it's on our property. Yes, that's actually his dock. It's on our property.
Well, listen, we have a lot of activity here. We're talking about a lot of details. And I've seen nothing from the DEP. I've seen no assessments by anybody from the state. We can talk till we're blue in the face, but until I see some evidence that we're complying with all the DEP stream encroachment and construction that affects the stream and the lake, I'd be reluctant to move forward till we saw that, because the stuff was already there. And just to say that, yeah, we're going to do this, well, it hasn't been done. And so I don't feel comfortable at all with doing much until we see the review by the DEP and their recommendations or observations or violations.
But we have to see where the stream runs. On
Well,
this,
that's the DEP's jurisdiction, and if they have a problem with it, that's the jurisdiction where it belongs. Really, we just have to make sure that happens. That's in compliance with the Department of Environmental Protection rules and regulations that deal with flood hazard area. I mean, I haven't seen any evidence of that at all, but yet the work is all done. I have a problem with that.
So,
What is the gravel
Mayor,
driveway in the back?
correct me if I'm wrong. Are you looking for the applicant to go to the DEP and verify that they do in fact meet the requirements for permit by rules, which would allow them disturbance within the riparian zone and of Lake Hopatcong and of this unnamed tributary that we're seeing on the plan? Is that what
Absolutely, in particular.
That's what you would like, would be verification from the DEP that they could meet the permit by rule conditions, and that this stream is in fact not something that's more regulated. It's not a Category 1 waterway or anything along those lines. That's the type of verification you're looking for.
Absolutely, because the work is already done. It's not like he's gonna do it. So it's critical that we have that information in that review.
I have to agree with the mayor. I mean, with what you're looking for now, to even think about moving forward with this is not constructive. It's just we got to see all those points met before we can move forward. I'd like to see that done before we do.
And Mr. Chirboga, do you understand what's going on here?
Yes, sir, kind of, I do.
Okay. So I think this basically goes back to number 1 from the technical review. And I think what the mayor and Mr. Gaffney are saying is that they want to see those verifications before we continue with this application.
And the issue here is if we even entertain approving this and giving this our approval, if there's a violation, we would be complicit in that. And I don't think we should be there. I really believe that the burden is on the applicant to make sure that he meets all the statutory requirements that have to do with the DEP. It's their rules, not ours.
Okay.
Well, number 2 is interesting too for this, because we got to validate that too. The stream bed should not be modified in any way.
And a DEP inspector will verify that.
Okay, good.
Not us.
No, I know.
Right.
Okay. Now, Mr. Chirboga, how long would it take you to take care of these things, do you think?
I'll start working on it tomorrow.
Because we can make a motion and we can continue this application at another meeting.
Please do.
Okay. Now we have November, we have meetings the 3rd and 17th.
No, 3rd.
Not
Election
3rd.
day.
Election day.
Okay, so we have a meeting on the 17th, and then in December on the 1st and the 15th. Danielle, how do we look on the 17th of November?
Extremely full.
Okay,
I doubt you'll get it back by then.
all right. Would it be back by the 1st of December, do you think?
possibly.
That's more logical.
We can't really answer that question.
No.
That's answered by the state.
Right, but if we're going to make a motion to continue, we have to say when we're continuing it to.
Unless he has a problem, I would suggest going to the 15th. And then if it gets delayed, then we do something else. But
The 5th,
I
are
don't
you
think
saying the
this is gonna be a
15th of
quick-
December?
yes.
Okay,
I would agree.
okay. Mr. Chiriboga, does that make sense to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, somebody want to make that motion? Well, let's see. Let's open this up to the public, see if they have any concerns. Would anybody from the public like to comment or question this application at all? We are
Yes.
about to continue the application until the 15th of December. Any
Yes.
questions or comments?
Go to
Yeah.
if you want the camera, or just go to me.
Hello there.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Tanya Lewitt, and I live down at the bottom of Brave Trail that turns back into Squaw Trail.
Okay.
And I'm just concerned about.
Just a minute, Tanya. Would you be sworn in, please, by
Yes.
by our attorney, Michelle?
Yes.
Hi, Tanya. Can you please tell us your full name?
Yes, I'm Tanya Lewitt.
Spell that, please.
That's Tanja. Last name Lewitt, Lewit.
Okay, raise your right hand.
Yes.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
And your address, Tanya Lewitt?
Is 244 Squaw Trail.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm just wanting to speak to the Paper Road Squaw Trail because on the side of my property, let's see here if I can try to give a reference. I have a map in front of me. There's a Paper Road Squaw Trail that goes along the side of my property, and I'm just concerned about keeping that open so that it heads back to the wooded area. I have 4 acres, and then there's 8 acres behind us that are pretty much wetlands. I believe there's also some town-owned property there. My concern is just keeping that open for a fire lane. And then the other thing, there's a stream that has a natural water that comes in. When there's abundant rain, that stream actually drains that marsh area pretty regularly. And I think there's been some movement with the stream. So that's the only concerns I have. I just want to make sure that that paper road is respected as far as the town property so that we can, if there's ever kind of a fire or anything, that we have access to those backwoods. And then the other thing would be, the water situation, that is actually a stream that comes down and then flows right into the lake. I know that with the Lake Hopatcong Commission, there's been many efforts in trying to mitigate and keep that water clearer of runoff and debris. So I just wanted to point out those and just have the town be conscientious of those right of ways.
Is that the stream that's shown on his plans as being behind his house? Do you know?
Yes, it is, because the stream actually, it's very unique. It runs along what would be considered the Paper Road Squaw Trail. And is somewhat of my property line. So part of the stream becomes part of my property line, and then part of the stream comes onto the property. It would actually be wonderful to walk with someone from the town to really look at where the points are, because it's been so overgrown through the years.
Well, it would be important for us to have something that we can look at as well to see what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I'm just going to show you. Let me start my video for a moment, and I apologize. I'm a little casually dressed, but if you see, I'm just trying to see this map.
Wow.
This is, it's hard to show.
With a light.
Let me see. So
That
if
doesn't
you
show
look,
very
you have, this is the Paper Road Squaw Trail. It's depicted as a paper road, and it goes along. This is my property, and then there's a stream that comes out and hits the lake here. It's really hard to see. It actually would be great to be able to walk it.
So Tanya, a question for you. If you look at the survey that we have for this property and we're facing the lake, are you on the left side of Giovanni's property or the right side?
I believe I would be, the property would be behind him. I would be on the left side. I'm on the
left
squat
side
trail
of-
that doesn't connect to the other side. Does that make
Right,
sense?
so, yeah, so you would come in the other side of Squaw Trail.
Right, I come down Brave Trail.
Got it, okay, because we have
Brave.
another house that we're talking about over on that one.
Yeah, that's my neighbor, Mark Annis, yes.
Okay, I'm trying to figure that out, okay, all right.
Yes.
I'm really naive. How do you drive into this property?
Isn't that exciting? That's a good question.
It's very
I don't see any driveway or anything.
You drive right in where the one-story brick boathouse is, right in front of it, there's a one trail, boom, one little driveway in there. And you come up, I'm assuming, into this upper area where the stone gravel driveway is. So at least that's what I saw today when I was there.
If you drive down next to Ronnie's dance studio, Squaw Trail goes down there, and if you follow Squaw Trail down, you'll get to a point where you come to a rock encroachment, and there's a sign on the encroachment that says private road, do not proceed, blah, 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 and no parking. And if you park right there, you can walk in, or you can actually drive in and transgress a neighbor property and then get to Mr. Charaboga's property.
If that's a right of way, if that's a paper road, why is there a sign saying do not enter?
Well, there is. I have no idea why. I don't know why there are signs that say no parking either.
Well, there's no room, Alan. When you get down further, because I went all the way in front of that boathouse, and there was literally no room. I had to back all the way out. So,
Well, if you had driven into Mr. Charaboga's property, you could turn around there.
right, but there was a car stuck in there, is what I'm saying. So I couldn't get to it.
So I parked right in front of the no parking signs and I walked in.
I was here.
Well, I don't see any proposed activity in that area.
No parking signs, if you park right next to the rock outcropping, you don't block the road at all.
But I don't see any proposed activity in the area that we're talking about.
I think the big issue here is the stream, and Mr. Charabogo needs to go and do that stuff with the DEP.
Yeah.
Well, we still have it open to the public.
I'm sorry.
Hi.
Okay.
Ms.
Hello.
Ms. Lewitt, are you done?
I am. I just wanted to bring that to the borough's attention, and if there should be any plans to walk there and kind of cite, where some of the placement is, if there's anything that, I could be involved with in that respect, it would be great to know. And
Okay,
I think.
well, I would certainly be willing to walk that property with you.
Great, I appreciate it. Thank you so
If you
much.
could just call Danielle and give her your phone number. I don't want to do it,
No, it's fine. I have Danielle's phone number, and I'll do that, sir.
Good.
Thank you.
If you'll give her your phone number, I will call you and we'll make arrangements to walk the property.
Excellent, Alan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Hello.
Is there anyone else from the public who would like to comment or ask a question? Mr.
Yes.
Sarah? You're muted, sir. Can you unmute
Hello.
yourself, or Danielle?
I'm trying.
Oh,
There we
there you
go.
How about now?
You're good.
Okay. Want to be sworn in, please, by our attorney, Michelle?
Can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And can you please give your full name and address?
Sure. It's Peter Mycera, 237 West Street, Gloucester, New Jersey. And I'm the owner of 235 Squaw Trail.
Can you spell your last name?
Yes, it's spelled M-I-C-E-R-A.
Thank you very much.
Excellent. I have at least one concern on behalf of my neighbor. So there's 3 houses as you go down to Squaw Trail. There's mine, which is the first that has the blue boathouse. There's the brick boathouse, and then there's the subject property. And I know that the middle house is in the process of being sold. I'm not exactly sure what the status is, but I know some of the complaints that I've heard from the potential buyer is that if you look at the gravel driveway that goes up on that 4-foot wall, that actually extends into that person's property and takes away their parking spot.
Well, sir, all due respect, if that person has a problem, he or she has to come before us.
Not a problem.
I'm here.
Not you. Do you have any concerns?
My only concern is that all the construction that's happened, it is impacting my boathouse because it's been struck several times. And I don't know that that's necessarily relevant here, but that was the purpose for my coming to this meeting. It seems that there's been a lot of construction that's gone on prior to having permits approved. And, it's caused us to put up signs to not have people park in our spot. And there's been actually damage done to my structure that now I'm starting to put up, fencing to try and prevent things and keep vehicles off my boat.
Okay, and have you approached Mr. Chiriboga about any of these concerns, sir?
Not directly.
Okay, well, maybe
initially, but
ideally, you could approach him and straighten out most of the problems.
All right.
We'll see. Okay, thank you.
Is there any other site work done other than what's indicated for approval here? Just curious. There's a lot of trucks.
Yes.
Ask Mr. Chiriboga, is there any other site work that's been done except what's been shown on the plans?
No, sir.
I didn't think so. Okay, we're still at the public. Is there anybody else from the public who would like to, first, Mr. Masira, are you done?
Yes.
Thank you. Is there
Hello.
anyone else from the public who would like to comment or ask questions
Hello.
about this application?
Yes.
Who is that?
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can. Who are you?
How you doing?
please?
My name is Victor Marin. I'm
Are you
buying a
calling
house
in by
next door.
phone?
I'm by phone. Yeah, I can't get my video to work. It's not letting me in.
Okay, Michelle, you want to swear him in, please?
Yes. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
And can you please tell us your full name and address, spelling your last name?
Victor Marin, 19 Farmbrook Road, Sparta. Marin is spelled M-A-R-I-N.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. I'm the neighbor that has concerns about the parking. As you know, the property is already, the wall's already constructed. They constructed 5 foot onto the property I'm looking to purchase. Not 5 foot away from the property, 5 foot onto the property, which creates a problem for parking. It creates, there's no parking to begin with. You guys are calling this a patio in the front of the house. But I'm confused. Is it the patio or is it his driveway? Because that's where he parks, and that's the parking to that property, his property. But it's being called a patio. So for clarification purposes, is that a patio or is that a driveway?
It says on the plans a gravel driveway.
He don't have gravel driveway. He just graded that and created that within the last couple of months. That wasn't there. That wasn't pre-existing. The driveway, the gravel was the patio. They call it a patio today. Was the gravel. The gravel was removed and the paper was replaced. If you look at the survey, it clearly shows the driveway. It goes past my boathouse and it ducks down towards the dock. This dock.
Is
He
your
went ahead and
boathouse
created-
the one-story brick boathouse?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm trying to get my bearings here. On the plans, I see a 12.95 feet. Do you see where I'm referring to?
I don't have a copy of the plans.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm assuming that 12 feet is the additional distance he took when he came 5 feet onto the property at 230, which is the property I'm buying. He graded it and he sloped and he created a ramp type of, so that he can pull up on top of that second tier that he built to create himself more parking, which creates a problem because that's where I'm supposed to park my car. It's my only one parking spot. So now it's blocking that area that he just created for himself. And then, like I said, the wall that he built, those two walls, are encroaching over close to 5 feet onto the property, not away from the property.
Onto what property?
My property that I'm purchasing. If you see, if you went to the property, you saw that it was surveyed, and right in front of that patio that he's talking about, there's a stake in the ground. If you look at the stake and you go up and you look at the wooden stake, you see that those walls and that ramp that he built, it's all built on my property.
So you're saying that this survey that we're looking at is incorrect?
I don't know what survey you're looking at. I'm just telling you, if you go visually look at the property, you see for yourself what's done. There's nothing that I have a little problem with. We're talking about that stream in the back has not been touched. That stream has been relined, totally relined. So I guess no one walked back there. That stream has been relined with rock and cement. So there's a lot more work going on there than being told.
That's my concern.
Okay.
I think we need an updated survey too. Even though this is a recent survey, it doesn't include anything that's not hand drawn on this.
The survey was revised 8/4/20.
Correct. But then this is drawn on here for presentation purposes here.
What is drawn on? I mean, I see some things yellowed in, but I don't see anything drawn on.
It looks like the number 2, the wall in the front, that
Yeah.
hard to tell. I mean, I'm looking at a PDF copy. It does look like that could have been drawn, and the area in the back, the rock wall feature, I'm not certain if that's a surveyed line either. It's kind of hard to tell. It kind of looks like it could have been in pen because of it's got a thicker, different line type than what you see on the rest of the plan, so it kind of stands out. Is that your assertion also, Mr. Duncan, that those two features look like they may have perhaps been drawn on and are not accurate enough?
That is correct.
I have the original copy, which is
That's
actually
probably the best one to
partially
look at.
colorized before the board. And I believe that it appears to me, I'm looking for it right now, but I believe that what's before the board at the moment has simply been highlighted.
That's what I see. And I don't see anything encroaching onto any neighboring properties.
Well, what you're looking at there is not what you're looking at when you go to the property and see the actual surveys and the actual fact. What's factual? What you're looking at is what somebody drew. And if it's not done correctly, then, I mean, you're already being misled when you're being told that the stream hasn't been tampered with. So someone needs to go, you say you're out there today, it's clearly marked out and staked.
The reason I second guessed the survey all has to do with the stream. Streams don't just abruptly stop. That would be a headwind.
No, it was dug out around the side of the house.
So that's why I have questioned the validity of the survey.
See the survey, that the original copy, that's actually colorized, and it's depicted with blue, and it's marked edge of water, and it kind of swings from that dock that's on the property to the left if we're looking out on the lake, and it swings back over, and it swings very, very close to relatively close to the propane tanks, parallel to the edge of that paver patio, which is on the roadside, meaning the paper street squaw side of the dwelling, and then back on up to that rock wall feature, and then of course it's shown in blue again above that rock wall feature, Probably heading back up towards Squaw Trail.
So that
So for
means it was-
clarification purposes, Bill, that line you're talking about is represented as it's a solid line and then it has 3 dots and then a solid line and then 3 dots, right?
Yes.
That's the stream.
Yes,
So,
yes.
Mr. Duncan, are you following where that line is on the plan?
Yeah.
Come down from stream, rock wall feature, then look to the left. That line, 3 dots, line, 3 dots. That's the passage of the stream.
Mhm.
That does at least paint a little bit more of a picture of
Its
where
pathway
it's going. Of where it's going.
or what it's going under.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think this represents well what was there and what may have been changed or done, and any changes done to the stream bed or the alignment, configuration, anything of that nature.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I think that the stream issue, probably we can put to bed in the sense, he's got to go to the DEP and come back on that. The issue with the property line and the survey, all I would say to the person who is bringing up this comment, before you buy that house, I would definitely go get it surveyed and mark it out.
I did it.
And then you
I
have
got
a
it
real
surveyed.
issue.
That's why I said I got it surveyed, and the spikes are there. And that's what I'm telling you. It's surveyed. It's been done already. There's no arguing the property lines. Everybody knows. He's well aware of it. He himself said, I know.
So what you're saying is, in order for him to get on to his property, he has to drive on your property.
No. Yes, correct. Everybody, Squaw Trail is not a paper road. The way we enter. The way we enter is a private driveway. It ends where somebody was talking about the rock walls, where there's like a little cement dock. You can see where the road was paved, and they finished paving it. It starts at Mr. Macera's property. His property starts there. We have it in our deed or written in our contract that at 7 feet 3 inches of the edge of the boathouse, we have to keep clear so that the 3 of us can have access to the property. So I have to keep that clear so that he can have access to his property. And Mr. Macera has to keep it clear so I can have access to my property. But it's not a paper road. That section, the lakefront section, is a private driveway. He went ahead and built a ramp. That's probably like 12 feet you're talking about in the survey, 12 feet onto my property, in addition to the 7 feet that he has, the access that I have to agree to give him. He went an additional 12 feet to create a ramp in the spot where I would park my car. So then if I was to park, he can't get in and out, and he ultimately takes my only parking spot away. It's all been built. It's been done. He's well aware of the situation as well.
I think we need to see it, and then
I don't understand. I mean, this drawing doesn't show any of that.
No, it doesn't.
I'm not going to show it. You got to go there and physically look at it.
It's got to be on the plans.
Right.
Well, the bed should have been on the plans as well too, and it's not on the plans, right? You questioned him under oath. He said he didn't know. He made no changes to the stream. Under oath, he made no changes to the stream. Go back there now and go look for yourself. That the stream has been bedded with cement and rock, and a waterfall was built and a pond. Probably what you're talking about where it ends.
DEP.
Yep.
Well, DEP ain't gonna worry about the wall that's built 5 foot onto the property I'm looking to buy.
I think that would be Mr. Duncan to look at that, right?
Yeah.
So Bill, is that something you would look at?
Donegan.
Okay, what do you want me to look at?
Well,
configuration. That road isn't parking.
Bill, you need to get the 2 surveys. You need to get the neighbor's survey and this survey and match them together and see where the problem is.
We
He
need
does have both surveys. I it's in the survey.
Bill, we need verification of what Mr. Marin is talking about.
If it's private property, that's not our issue. That is the issue of the property owners. As long as we're not approving anything that's outside of the boundary of that property. We're not talking about anything outside that property. If there's an issue with private property, that's an issue between the 2 property owners. Correct me if I'm wrong.
We're approving what he
You're in
built.
front of a zoning board looking for application, and there's a 5-foot setback, and that's the ordinance. Then that is zoning's business, because zoning is the one who approves it and makes sure that everybody's following the rules.
We're not
There's
approving
no
anything.
dispute over the property line. There's no dispute over property line. It's crystal clear. There's no dispute. He's not disputing it. I'm not disputing it. The thing is, he built the wall. before he went in front of the zoning, before he knew the rules. And I said, take it down. Cut the 5 feet off. It's actually 10 feet at this point because it's 5 feet setback. So that is a zoning issue. There's no
We have
property
not
line
approved
dispute.
anything. On tonight's application, we have not approved anything.
You just said it's a property line dispute. It's not a property line dispute. Nobody's disputing the property line. What I'm simply disputing is he built the wall. He's in front of you for zoning applications. And I'm letting you know that the wall is built 5 foot onto the property, not 5 foot off the property.
Well,
So simple.
but if we
follow the
do
rules.
approve anything, then he has to get building permits. And when it's inspected, they will look and see where he actually did the construction. And if his construction is 10 feet
the construction's
off
done
of
already.
where it's supposed to be, that will come to light.
Construction's done.
The survey that the board has in front of them right now is an as-built survey, because what had occurred is this was brought to my attention, went out, saw the work, asked him to come in to do the zoning. He came in and did the zoning, and then none of these features, the features were not shown on the previous survey. So he had the surveyor do a new survey. That's what's in front of the board right now. So that's an accurate, unless something has occurred in the last 6 weeks, that would accurately depict, what exists on the subject property. I'm not seeing any wall encroachment on that survey. It's not to say that the gentleman that's giving testimony at the moment, not to say that his survey might show something different. And I'm perfectly willing to meet with him or meet with the two owners and go over the respective surveys to try to come to a point with this.
And understand the
Mr.
property
Donegan,
line.
I have met with you. I've given you a copy of the survey. You compared it. They're the same. There's no difference in the property line. When you saw his, and you're the one who told me it's at least 5 foot built onto your property, put a fence up if you don't want him going on it.
No,
So,
I
yes.
think
So
the
guess you forgot
encroachment.
about that.
I'm sorry. I believe the encroachment, it's not an actual wall, but I believe it's depicted on this survey that the board has in front of them as a gravel area.
It's a drive. We graded it like a driveway. He created himself a driveway on it, and there is a wall. The wall does come, and it makes contact with the wall that's on my property, and then it comes over a few feet. The lower, there's 2 walls.
Does your survey depict that?
No, my survey, that wall wasn't there. When my survey shows my property line. It doesn't show what is on his property. But it did show my survey does not show the walls, his walls.
Does it
Okay.
show
His
you-
survey's not showing a wall either.
Okay,
Again,
let's forget the survey. Why don't someone go out to the property and
Well,
look for yourself?
wait. We have to work off the survey. That's what we have. That's what we have to work off of.
Okay, so you're telling me his survey doesn't show the fact that he goes over 5 feet?
It does not.
It does not. It was the same survey company who did them too.
Well,
we need
it
to
does
clarify
not
this.
show that. And as we've said, the survey was recently updated, and it's an as-built survey.
Right. Yeah, it's as built, but it didn't show you the screen being built in the back, did it? So that's how much we're going to take this as. What do you do when somebody under oath, testifies under oath, and misleads the board? I'm just questioning, just for my own knowledge.
Well, that's something we're not going to get into.
All right, well, I guess there's no
As it
recourse,
is,
right?
Mr. Mayor,
Just like if
as it is,
somebody
Mr.
builds
Mayor,
something they're not supposed
he's
to build,
going to
there's
go
no
to the
recourse.
DEP. No, he will be going to the DEP to get approvals and then come back to us. Without those approvals, as you've heard tonight, we all have issues with what's there, okay? So there is proper recourse, and it's following through suit as it goes down. So he will go to the DEP, and whatever those cards are played and with the DEP, so be it. That's their rules.
All right. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to comment on this application or ask any questions about it?
Yes. Can you hear me? This is Colleen Lyons.
Yes, Colleen?
So just one.
Want to be sworn in,
Oh,
please?
yeah, sure. Thank you.
Hi, Colleen. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And your full name and address, please.
Colleen Lyons. I work for the Lake Hopatcong Commission, which is located at 260 Lakeside Boulevard in Landing. So I just wanted to make one comment since you're talking about DEP review, and that is that the applicant indicated that they source their water from the lake.
Yes.
And according to NJC 7:10 Safe Drinking Water Act rules, that is not allowable by DEP. So I think that they would have to get a waiver or a permit from DEP in order to allow them to continue to pull water from the lake.
Okay, thank
That's all.
you. Anyone else? Anyone else from the public? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. Would somebody like to make a motion to continue this application until the 15th of December, 2020?
I'll do that.
I'll second.
Mr. Bongiovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Gavin?
Yes.
Mrs. Crock?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Councilman Schindler?
Yes.
Mayor Francis?
Yeah.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes. Okay, Mr. Chiriboga, you have, you need to go to the DEP for the required waivers and approvals and come back to us on December 15th. If you cannot come back on December 15th, please notify Danielle and we will again continue the application. Are we okay, Mr. Chiriboga?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Next applicant is Philip Howard, block 30904, lot 12, 223 Hudson Avenue. The current garage is in disrepair and is in danger of collapsing, and the applicant would like to rebuild it, and there are variances. Is Mr. Howard here? Mr. Howard? Is there somebody representing Mr. Howard?
Yes, Jeff Cariaga, I'm here for them.
Okay, Jeff. Jeff, you want to be sworn in, please, by Michelle?
Hi, Jeff. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please provide your full name and your relationship to the applicant, please.
My name is Jeffrey Cariaga, C-A-R-E-A-G-A, from Cariaga Engineering, Bud Lake, and I'm the engineer for his application.
Okay, Mr. Cariaga has testified before this board many times. Is there any anybody who would not accept him as an expert witness? Okay, Mr. Cariaga, are you going to be the only person testifying tonight?
Yes, I thought the applicant would be here also, but
I guess
it'll be me.
Okay, Mr. Cariaga, are you in receipt of Mr. Rushke's letter, Mount McDonald, June 6, 2020?
Yes, I am.
Okay, technical review. Let's start with number 1. Testimony that the garage cannot be reduced in size or relocated out of the Hudson Avenue right-of-way.
The existing garage is relatively small, so reducing the size would really make it pretty much unusable. And try to slide it back into the property would end up with a even higher height of the garage than we have right now. So we would have additional variances by moving it back for the height of the garage, and we would never be able to remove that existing front yard variance anyway. So I believe what we are proposing, which is exactly the same size and exactly the location existing, is probably the best scenario for this particular.
Okay. With that in mind, if this board acts favorably, then of course you have to go in front of the governing body, the mayor and council, for approval to build in the right of way. That is understood, correct?
That's understood.
Okay. The providing properly designed foundation for the new structure, I believe that is on your papers in number 4. Is that not correct?
That's correct. On sheet 4, it shows new footings and a whole new steel foundation structure for the garage. It's very similar to other garages we've done in town with the same situation.
Okay. And of course, if we vote in favor of this, then you have to verify that the same setbacks and so on.
That's understood.
Okay, is there anyone from the board who would like to ask questions or comments about this application?
Mr. Chairman, I want to recuse myself on this.
Okay, Mr. Francis, thank you.
Yeah,
Mayor
Mr.
Francis
Chairman,
has
I'm going to
recused
recuse myself also.
Okay, and so has Mr. Schindler. And I believe the reason they're recusing themselves is because they sit on the governing council, and therefore, that it wouldn't be right for them to be voting here as well as governing body giving approval if we vote favorably. So,
Jeff,
anybody else?
I got a quick question, Jeff. That existing stone wall, is that in good shape, or is that, I see you're putting full concrete wall in front of that. Is that existing wall in good shape, or?
No, it's not in great shape, but that's pretty much why we're putting a sister wall there.
Do you have to do anything to that wall to shore it up before you put the concrete in, or is the concrete just going to cover it up?
The concrete's going to cover it up and fill in all the voids.
That's reinforced?
Correct. Heavily reinforced, actually.
Anybody else?
I have a question, Mr. Craig. It says here the aqueduct path for rainwater has washed out the internal supporting wall. So you put up a new wall, what's going to happen? Why is it not going to get compromised again later?
We'll reinforce the aqueduct too as part of the whole project.
Okay.
So this whole, Jeff, this whole superstructure then is built on the right of way, correct? The wall, everything is technically on the right of way?
That is correct.
Does that have any impact on the liability to town?
Well, quite frankly, it's going to be a hell of a lot stronger than what's out there right now. There is a wall on the town's property right now, and it's in poor shape. So this is essentially making an unsafe situation safe again.
Is there anybody else from the board? Well, let me open it up to the public. Would anybody from the public like to comment or question this application? Anybody at all?
I just remind you to go down to the reactions button at the bottom of your screen if you'd want to comment. I'm not seeing anyone, Alan.
Thank you very much. Bring it back to the board. Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All right, the motion, of course, is to approve the application on the condition that the governing body approves the reconstruction of this garage in the right of way.
Who made the motion?
Phil Riley.
Thank you. Mr. Bongiovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney?
Yes.
Mrs. Crock?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes. Okay, Mr. Carriega, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, Alan,
Yes.
in contrast to the first applicant, this applicant has a complete submission where we know exactly what's going to happen with the wall. We're not guessing about things. It's called design. That's what we need from applications, not a squared picture.
I see that, yes.
I mean, I didn't have to guess how the wall was going to be built. It was laid out.
Okay, next we have Mr. Annis, block 50208, lot 26, 247 Squaw Trail. Applicant would like to replace a shed, gain approval for existing second deck, build a garage, build a deck, replace hot tub, flatten parking lot, covering the septic system, et cetera, et cetera. Is Mr. Annis here?
Yes, Chris Colabella on behalf of Mr. Annis, and Mr. Annis, I believe, is here.
Mr. Annis, are you here? I don't see him, unless he's called in.
Yeah, if he called in, I don't know what his number is to unmute.
Right. It would be 0837 probably.
I got it. I unmuted. We're good.
Okay, Mr. Annis, are you there?
Muted himself again.
Oh, he's muted.
I'm trying to unmute and it's not.
Star 6.
Mr. Ant, there we go.
Okay, Mr.
Hi.
Annis, are you there?
I am here.
Good, thank you. Michelle, do you want to swear him in, please?
Yes, Mr. Annis, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, help you God?
I do.
And your full name and address, please.
Mark Annis, 247 Squaw Trail.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Calabella does not have to be sworn in. He is an attorney and is sworn to tell the truth. So, I assume that you are in receipt of the letter dated August 13th, 2020 from Mont McDonald?
Yes, we are. If we could just have Mr. Carriega sworn in as well. He's our professional on this application.
You want to swear Mr. Carriega in again? On this one?
Mr. Carriega, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
And I would just ask the board to accept his qualifications.
Yeah, well, any objection to accepting the qualifications of Mr. Carriega, who has testified many times before this board, including tonight? Okay. Technical review, the site location on Lake Hopatcong within the riparian zone. You have to go to the DEP and get that taken care of. The plan should be updated to reflect that. Well, I have a bunch of questions about this one. This really confused me because I don't know what the original size of the lot is and what the size is once that other portion is added to it. I don't know if the other portion has been purchased or not. And I don't know if the other gentleman who's supposed to be purchasing is here tonight.
So I could have Mr. Carriega address the issues of the size. He put together a plan, site plan, which does have some dimensions in it, and he's going to add some calculations as well by testimony. So Mr. Carriega, if we could just address that first issue relating to the size of the lot and what the size is going to be after the addition is added on the new lot line that you have depicted on your plan.
Yeah, sorry for the confusion. It was real hard to try to figure out how to illustrate all of these different coverages with the different lot areas. But on sheet 204 zoning table down towards the middle of the map, it shows the existing number 26 has 14,100 square feet of area, and with the additional space from the old right-of-way, it's increased in size to 15,162 square feet.
So that would make it a conforming lot, size-wise.
That's correct.
Okay. That is one of the things that had me confused. So we're not looking for a variation for that at all. Well, has this lot, this other lot, which was, has it been purchased?
So if you notice on the plan, Mr. Gilbert, the parties, it's a segment of the lot that belong to the municipality, and it has been, as you can see, there's they're going to be splitting the two property owners will be splitting the lot itself, and it's depicted again on the plan.
But it hasn't been done yet.
It hasn't been. Well, we're asking for this approval, this approval of this change in the lot line.
Well, I could maybe argue with that a little bit, Chris, in that I think in accordance with land use law, as soon as the road is abandoned, the lot area automatically goes split in half to each of the two property owners. I think the intent of the preliminary subdivision plat that we have in our package, which is the sheet number 2, which has all these areas and easements that are necessary. We'll get into the details of that later. But I think this minor subdivision plat is more to illustrate the easements that are going to be necessary because of encroachments onto the neighboring property, and to allow the neighboring property owner to also utilize Mr. Annis's property. And they have been talking and have been discussing this.
Jeff, can I ask a quick question? It
Sure.
was my understanding that lot 24 was a lot that was purchased from the borough. This was not an existing paper road or right-of-way that was to be vacated. Is that correct? It was a lot, or it was a right-of-way?
I think Mr. Annis or Colabella might have to answer that one.
Yeah, Mr. Annis, if you would speak to that issue, you've been sworn in.
It was a lot that was purchased.
Okay, then I stand corrected on the abandonment then.
And
it is a lot that is purchased, so it would need to be subdivided between the two properties. It was not a vacation, so it would not automatically be basically split in half between the two adjoining properties.
And that's part of the application.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that. So that is part of the application today.
Okay, and it has not been purchased yet, is that correct?
It has been paid for, but we're of this here, we're determining where the final lot will be.
Mr. Annis, could you repeat that? There was some interruption in your testimony.
I believe it has been purchased and paid for, but the final lot line depiction is dependent upon.
Are you still there, Mr. Annis?
Yes, I'm here.
And the purchase, who was the purchase by? Who purchased it? Your neighbor?
My neighbor, Tom Biondi, and I both split the area 50-50.
Understood, but who purchased it? Did the two of you purchase it together? Mr. Annis, are you still there?
We purchased it together, yes.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Gilbert's question was, has the purchase been completed? That's all.
The payment has been in my recollection, the payment has been made, but the recording of the lot of the subdivision is dependent upon the outcome of this hearing.
Okay.
So if I may, when I was reviewing the application, I did reach out to the administration to find out the status, and I have an email from Tuesday, August 11th, from Ron Tappan that indicated that they had closed on the property.
Oh,
so I do believe that the sale had gone through, and now the subdivision is just pending before this board, and that's what we are here for tonight.
Then they would generate the deed.
Well, to perfect the subdivision, we would do new deeds?
For both properties.
For both properties, yes, Mr. Duncan.
Okay.
All right, and then that would make this one a conforming lot in terms of square feet.
Yes.
Good. Okay. It's not conforming in terms of width. Depth is okay. What do we have there? Okay. So let's see now. Let's get back to the technical review. Okay, number 2 is taken care of. The plans and go ahead. Should be modified to include the relevant variances for steep slope disturbance as outlined on sheet 4 of the plan set. Who wants to address this, Mr. Carriega?
That's no problem. We can make that modification.
Okay. Stormwater design.
Mr. Carriaga, so will steep slope variances be requested as part of this application?
Well, let me go over. We have disturbance of steep slopes if you actually look on the plan set, there's steep slopes hatching in the area of the limit of disturbance and the soil erosion and grading plan, and that area itself is 1,105 square feet. So the only work that we are proposing, or the work that we are proposing, is only going to disturb 1,105 square feet. So as far as needing a steep slope disturbance variance, does that qualify? Because I believe we're allowed up to 2,500 square feet, or is that 2,500 square feet aggregate for the whole lot? Because there's 11,000 square feet of aggregate disturbance of steep slopes, but that's an existing condition at this point.
Samantha, you're muted.
Forgot about that, sorry. I'm just trying to take a look at the plan real quick. So what you're saying is there's no new disturbance as what's shown on this.
Yeah, if you look at our limited disturbance, it pretty much circles around the garage and the limited driveway we're adding there. The hatched area in the area of the back of the garage, that hatched area is 1,105 square feet total.
Okay, and I'm looking at the bottom corner of sheet 4, which has the previously disturbed versus the new steep slope disturbance, and I'm only seeing an increase in the 2 categories, and they're both about 100 square feet each. Is that correct?
Right, correct.
So no variance is being requested because those are underneath the thresholds. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. Gotcha. That answers that question.
Okay. Stormwater design.
We were going to ask for a waiver of a full stormwater design, but I looked at this with Mr. Annis today, and we can probably change that paved driveway to pervious pavement to put some gravel underneath it to get some storage, but this ledge rock is so shallow up there that I'm concerned about how much we can actually get, but we can make our best attempt to do the best we can in that area. But that's about the best we can do. There's really no other place. This property is all pretty much ledge rock. So the only area we can see is to put it up by the driveway, but even so, it's pretty close to the septic location, so it's going to be within 50 feet of the septic, so that's not a good idea either.
Right, you would need a waiver for that as well.
So,
Jeff, could you comment perhaps on the existing stormwater patterns from the site? You know, how it traverses the site, where it ends up. Does it have any impact to any neighboring properties? Impact?
Yeah, no, all of the water really is self-contained on this property. I'm not aware of any water, and I didn't see any potential for water to go off onto the other neighbors unless somebody brings something up that I didn't see. So the water really flows down from Squad Trail down the driveway, and it makes its way around the house down to the lake.
Does somebody have a radio on? Okay, did everybody understand Jeff's explanation there?
I did.
Okay,
I'm
thank
still
you.
getting quite a bit of feedback on this end, but I think I got the gist of Jeff's testimony.
Right, okay.
Thank you for that.
The easement for the existing wall and gravel area that encroaches onto lot 23 by lot 26. The draft easement should be provided for review and approval.
That's no problem, we can do that. We have the meets and bounds already on the plans, but we can put it into deed format.
Right. And any future approval by the board should be conditioned on a monument being provided at the intersection of the proposed new lot lines between 26 and 23.
And that's no problem.
That's not a problem. But I did notice that reference was made to a couple of things that might come before the board in the future. And I just want to, one is the replacement of a dock with a boathouse instead. And there was something else. And I just wanted to mention that those would be separate applications. They would have nothing to do with this application other than perhaps total lot coverage and things like that.
Understood, Mr. Gilbert.
Okay. Comments, questions from the board?
Jeff, is the second deck already installed at the house? That you're asking, the second story deck you're asking for, is that already installed?
Yes.
So that was installed without a permit?
Mr. Annis, I don't know the answer to that.
Can I jump in on this? Yeah, this is Mark Ennis. The second story deck was installed with I believe with a permit by Rob Robertson in 1997.
Just curious as why we're asking for it now.
Well, we should have a record of that.
I think some of the earlier drawings, surveys that had been that had been submitted to the town in the 90s had shown that that was not there and that we were sort of building off of what you folks had already on record. At the time.
Okay. The hot tub to be removed and replaced with a new spa. Can I get some information on the spa, please?
This is Mark again. I have not purchased the spa because pending on the outcome of this hearing, but I'd like to replace it because the one that's here is old and not very thermal efficient.
Well, what does a spa consist of?
The hot tub.
I mean, is it just another hot tub, or is it an enclosure? What is it?
No, it'd be standing on in the close to the position that it's in. I think probably more in the garden area that's shown on the drawing, but it would be a prefabricated hot tub spa with no overhead enclosure, no. It's freestanding.
Mr. Annis, would it be any larger than the existing hot tub?
Yes, it would be. That one that's there is a tiny little thing.
How much? I think we would need to see more detail about it before we can approve it.
Is the drawing showing the new hot tub or the old hot tub?
The drawing shows an old hot tub, and it's there's a notation: remove hot tub, install new spa. This is I'm on page 2 of 4.
The new spa would be going in what is depicted the garden area.
That would increase coverage though if you made it bigger.
Well, if it's going in the garden area, we would have to see the dimensions. We would have to see the offsets. I'm not sure we can approve that without more detail.
We can
I have
supply
a question.
that may be referred to a future hearing, but that information can be provided, and nothing has been done at this point about that.
Well, you might want to pull that out and treat that as a separate application. I don't know.
I suspect, Mr. Gilbert, that there's going to be a lot of questions, and I'm probably going to ask the board to give us another hearing date once we go through Mr. Carriega's testimony. We do want to submit architectural plans for the garage that they're asking for. So with your indulgence, we'd like to just go as far as we could.
Sure.
And then ask the board to motion to adjourn to another date.
Okay. Mr. Carriega, you're on.
Okay, so essentially this subdivision is going to at least remove the variance for the lot size. So will be a conforming lot, 15,162 square feet upon completion of the subdivision. Following up to our earlier discussion, we will request a waiver for the stormwater because really just there's no room other than under the proposed driveway, which is really too close to the septic location. So we do agree to the various terms that we just talked about in the Hatchmont-McDonald letter. We will get the architectural plans for the garage and the hot tub to you prior to any kind of action on this application. The garage, again, is just about the only available area on the property to put a garage just because of the site limitations and steep slopes and ledge rock. So although we do need some variances for the garage, I really don't see any other option for a garage on the property other than generally where it is right now. And again, going further away from the road is just going to end up with the garage being higher and higher out of the ground, and may trigger a height variance in this application also if we try to move that garage further down towards the lake.
Jeff, what about the storage shed? Anything new? You're going to put in a new shed, right?
The storage shed down by the lake?
The two-story storage shed.
Yeah.
That's existing. And what was your question on it?
Isn't that part of the things you wanted to change? Replace that?
May I say something, please? That storage shed, kind of like a cottage, that was one of the major reasons we're here tonight. That was originally there was a small steel shed there, and of course now this was built without permits. So when we're getting the architecturals for the garage, we should have the architecturals for the little cottage.
There's no proposed bathrooms, water, kitchen, anything like that down at the shed, so it really can't be considered a habitable dwelling.
Still a two-story structure.
I heard two things here. I heard it called a storage structure, then I heard it called a cottage. What is it? Mr. Carrieg.
It's a storage structure. There's no bathrooms, there's no kitchen, there's no running water. It certainly can't be a cottage.
Okay.
Howard, in the future?
Well, the future is the future. You know, we cannot put any restrictions on future boards.
Other than possibly that might be appropriate to do a deed restriction so that the accessory structures cannot be used for any human habitation.
There's a lot going on in this property. And now we're adding a giant garage. So you got another structure on the property.
That's why I thought that it would be better for the board to have architectural so you could see what the garage looked like, and perhaps the neighboring property owners could take a look at it as well. But we believe the application to be appropriate under the circumstances. Certainly with the additional information, I think the board would find it acceptable.
Okay, I would also like to see more information about the proposed spa and its location.
We can do that.
Yeah, I think further development with design documents and clarification documents of the two-story shed, as they call it, all that will refine what's on this property for us to know a little bit better about making an approval.
Yes.
But the application says we would like to replace a shed. Now, where's the shed that they would like to replace? That's what's right on the outline for the meetings tonight. It says replace a shed.
I think that's a beg forgiveness. I already did it and replaced the metal one with a two-story big box.
So he wants approval for the fact that they already replaced the shed?
I think that's what I'm saying. Is that what they're saying, Mr. Colabella?
That's exactly what they're saying.
Aha.
Okay.
Our goal is to bring this property within the bounds of the ordinance and get variance where necessary to make sure that not only is it aesthetically pleasing, but that it conforms to the requirements of the ordinance where possible. And it's a difficult property. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with it. And Mr. Annis just wants to improve the property. And as a lot of property owners come before the board, maybe some of his ideas might be lofty, but I think on the whole, I think the proposals he's making, I definitely think fit the zone plan over there, and I think would be appropriate under the circumstances. But we do think that an additional meeting is necessary, and that we do need to provide the board with some additional information. That's I think the more appropriate way to approach this. But we would like to address the issues we could address, and certainly get the board's feedback so that we could better understand what we can provide to the board to make this more appealable, and also to answer any questions the board may have.
I'm sorry, I just can't recognize in my own mind a shed being 2 stories. I mean, it's got to be called something other than a shed. It's got to be called something. It's a building that's got electricity in it, I'm sure. And it's not just for storage. What's it for? What's going on in there? How big? And it's pretty big.
Well, I think that's what he's going to give us the drawings for, Phil, to let us know. Really
I thought Jeff said he wasn't going to give us drawings for the shed.
Well, we should see drawings.
We'll give you drawings for the shed.
Okay, good enough. Thank you. I'm fine.
Mr. Carriega, could you tell me what happens on the property down from the garden? There's a bunch of lines, but I don't know what they represent.
I think it's, we had to break this up into so many details here. If you look on sheet number 2, which is the subdivision plat, illustrates that there's a concrete patio underneath the deck platform over there. So there's a paver patio down past the dock, and then there's the concrete patio down.
Yeah, there are the details. Yep.
Now, is there anything else on the property that was not permitted? Like, we don't know truly about how the deck was built, because that really wasn't. But what else on the property do we not know about at this point? Loaded question.
I believe we identified in our letter that there was a second dock on the property that was not previously permitted. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, there are items on the property that pre-existed Mr. Annis's ownership of the property. So he bought the property, and there was a second dock. And a lot of these items were already there upon his purchase. So he's trying to make this property conform. And that's one of it. There is a second dock there, and he'd like to keep it. It's been there. It was there when he bought it, and he'd like to continue to use it.
Oh, well, that's one of the things that is mentioned as a possibility in the future, to replace that dock with a boathouse.
Well, that's in the future, Mr. Gilbert. I mean, that's not part of this application.
Right.
What is the restriction upon having two docks? Can you have two docks if the footage is more than 100 feet?
My interpretation would be we'd need 200 feet to have our second dock.
200 feet. That's a lot of feet.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pre-existing non-conforming issue. It's something that's been there, something he'd like to continue to use if possible.
How long have you owned the home?
Mr. Annis, when did you buy the home?
I bought the whole home in November 2017.
Okay. Mr. Carriega, how old do you think that dock is?
Older than that. It's probably 15, 20 years old.
Okay. What's its construction?
It's just wood dock.
Just a wood dock? So somebody had to put it in.
I think we need to pull the file on this in the building department and the assessing department and take a look at whatever history we can find out about it. I would ask maybe Mr. Carlabella could do that to give us some insight on what happened and whatever happened was legitimate.
Well, I did do an open public records, and well, Mr. Annis did, and we did discover that there was an approval of a garage and a lot of these elements back in the 90s by Bob Robertson, and so I don't know if that if that condition existed when he made application, if these conditions existed when he made application or not. I can't really tell. But I have not looked I haven't received anything through that open public records application with regard to, from the building department, other than those plans and the approval. There was actually a resolution and approval for a garage and some other items. It was kind of instructive to me to review that to see what was going on with the property back then. But I don't have anything intervening between then and now, which it's a good 20 years. But I could do additional research and certainly share what I find.
Well, it's a good idea to get the whole property up to current knowledge.
Well, that's the idea. I mean, Mr. Annis wants to, as indicated, just get this property up to snuff, and whatever issues there are, we need to correct them. And obviously, he wants to comply with, as I indicated before, the zoning ordinance where possible, and of course improve the property, because there's a lot of issues with the property in its current condition.
All right. Well, we will certainly continue this, but before we do, let's see if anyone from the public wants to comment on this. Would anybody from the public like to comment on this application or ask any questions about it? If you do, please go to the bottom of your screen and under reactions, just give a thumbs up or some indication to Danielle that you want to. Colleen Lyons.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I think you'll have to be sworn in again, Colleen.
Hi, Colleen. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Your name for the record.
Colleen Lyons with the Lake Hopatcong Commission. I just wanted to clarify, if the property is now conforming, the maximum lot coverage would be 25%, where 45.3% is being requested. Is that correct?
Mr. Carrier, you have those calculations?
44.2% is what I have right here.
Okay, so that's nearly 20% over the ordinance maximum. Just
well, it's existing 42.9 going to 44.2, so it's really only an increase in 1.3%.
And is that so? I believe it's gravel where the garage is going, and that would be pervious surface going to impervious. Is that correct?
Portion of it, there's a lot of it's actually ledge rock where it's going, but yes, some of it's gravel.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Colleen.
Well,
Anybody else?
in the Borough of Hopatcong, I believe that gravel is considered pervious. Correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
I agree as well.
Okay, anybody else from the public want to comment or question this application at all? Anybody at all?
We'll have to do.
Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. Would somebody from the board like to make a motion to continue this application?
Alan,
Yes.
we've got another one. Hold on.
Oh, okay. Do we have another one? Is it Jay?
Jay.
Jay.
I want to talk.
We've got another one.
Yes.
I'm
Yes,
getting a
thank
lot
you.
of feedback. I'm getting a lot of people talking, but
I think I'm okay. You hear me okay?
yes.
Okay. Jay LaJoy from 249 Squaw Trail.
Okay, you'll have to be sworn in first.
Okay. Jay, you want to put the whole truth
Okay.
and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
And your name again?
I do. Jay LaJoy, 249 Squaw
please.
Trail.
Just please spell your last name.
Lijoi.
Thank you. And your address again?
249 Squaw Trail.
Thank you. And what do you have to ask or tell the board?
Okay, I want to thank you, commissioners, for hearing me tonight. I obviously didn't bring enough lawyers or engineers, but if you'd humor me, I'd like to read some stuff that I've prepared for this. I have concerns and wish to speak against the granting the proposed variances and waivers being sought for 247 Squaw Trail. I believe they will and have adversely affected my property value and quality of life experience from my property. Since acquiring 247 Squaw, the property owner has displayed a complete lack of regard towards my adjoining property at 249 Squaw Trail, Lot 27. The owner's motto appears to be, better to ask forgiveness than request permission, or in this case, better to complete the work first than to apply for appropriate waivers and variances. Let me provide some background. From the day over the property in direct violation of code, the owner has kept a commercial backloader bucket hoe on his property in his front yard. He owns the backhoe and is using his property as a storage for his commercial business equipment. This is certainly not the view or experience I expected when buying lakefront residential property on Lake Hopatcong. It is curious that the first time he moved the bucket loader across the street to another property was the same time that he formally applied for these waivers and variances. Number two, the owner decided he wanted more parking. To achieve his goal, he landfilled on top of his septic, which adjoins my property. He increased the grade by approximately 3 feet, pushing rocks and debris onto my property, breaking my fence and leaving the bottom of my fence 3 feet below the grade of his property. This is an existing situation for which I request immediate remediation. Number three, when using shoulder stone for a project on his property, he stated to me, "It's too hard to pick up the stone, so I dumped it in the street shoulder in front of your property." This resulted in him packing the shoulder with stone, which led to a change in grade, which led to a change in water flow onto my property and into my basement. To date, I have not been able to mitigate the water situation. I want to clearly state that any waivers or variances granted to 247 Squaw Trail diminish the value of my residential property, both in property value and quality of life. To that end, I would like to address some of these proposed directly, starting with the garage. The only reason to have a 24 by 27 foot garage with a 22-foot ceiling height is to house commercial industrial equipment. His backhoe, bucket loader, and dump trucks do not belong in an R1 residential property. As stated in the application, the property is already overbuilt. The applicant is proposing retroactive approvals for what he considers improvements, and I consider devaluative initiatives. The applicant's answer to replacement of a dilapidated shed was to construct a 2-story structure. His statement to me was, "It's for my mother-in-law." In addition to the 2-story construction, the area was connected to the extensive masonry development. The applicant's request for a second box retroactive approval is an example of the development arrogance demonstrated. He has been dumping tons of sand into the lake for several years in an attempt to create his own personal beach. I'm pretty sure the DEP frowns on such lake dumping practices, not to mention it is illegal. The applicant requests retroactive relief for exceeding maximum allowable lot coverage while having the audacity to apply for further future development on an already overbuilt or residential property. The applicant requests retroactive approval for a 2-story deck with hot tub. This hot tub is 2 inches off my property line. I request its removal as well as the removal of all items and constructs which encroach upon the area in violation of my property line setbacks. The applicant is requesting retroactive approval for grading his property for a parking lot adjacent to lot 27. Let's be clear. What he refers to as grading in reality reflects filling in to the height of approximately 3 feet along the fence property line, destroying the fence and pushing rocks and other material onto lot 27. For reference, this situation was reported to the building department at the time as I was seeking relief and correction of this encroachment on my property, the destruction of my property, and the clear violation of property setbacks. The variance for proposed development, encroachment on property line 7, 249 Squaw Trail. The applicant has utilized the property line of lot 27 as his utilities corridor. There's a hot tub that he proposes to expand into a spa that is 6 inches from my property line. If he can afford a new spa, please remove the current hot tub and place the new spa according to proper setbacks off lot 27 property line. His oil tank is placed less than 36 inches from lot 27 line. The applicant installed a whole house generator with a 500-pound propane tank less than 24 inches off of the 27 property line. The applicant installed his central air conditioning unit attached to an addition to his house that he built last year, where he did not allow for the proper setbacks when including exterior utilities. The applicant has installed 2 pipes from his utilities, which are piped directly through the fence onto lot 27, discharging the waste onto the property of lot 27, 249 Squaw Trail. Please protect my property rights by denying the overdevelopment of 249 Squaw Trail. Deny the construction of the monster commercial garage. Please provide relief for my property line by enforcing all setbacks to adjoining lot 27 of 249 Squaw Trail. Please have his piping removed from my property. Please remove all of the debris on my fence and property to the appropriate setbacks. Please have all utilities properly set back off of my property line. I want to thank you for hearing my concerns, and I pray you will protect my property and quality of life on Lake Hopatcong. Thank you very much.
It looks like you have that in writing. Could you forward that testimony to our secretary, Danielle Rennie?
I will certainly do that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Would anybody else from the public like to comment or question this application? Okay, I will bring it back to the board at this time. Mr. Calabella,
Yes.
we're going to ask in a moment that somebody make a motion to continue this application. What date would you like it to continue to?
If we could continue it into January, that would be, that would give us enough time to get the architectural plans in place. And I understand that the December calendar is pretty full, so probably make more sense to move it into January if there's more openings in January.
Okay, how about January 19th? Would that work?
December isn't full yet if you wanted to do December. It's just the November date is full.
Okay. January was the date in January?
January 19th, was it?
19th.
Yeah, January 19th. Mr. Annis, does that work for you?
That's fine. January is fine.
January 19th, and that would be good.
Okay, does somebody want to make a motion that we continue this application to January 19th?
I have a
I'll make
question.
that motion.
I'll
I have a
second it.
question. Before we make a motion, I have a question.
Yes, Phil.
The neighbor has mentioned a bunch of things that are not on the plan, that are close to his property line, that have been put in. Do they need to be addressed also?
Well, I
should
think
be.
they need to be addressed with Bill Dunnigan, don't they? And possibly
Building construction.
building construction, right?
Actually, the grading was what brought me to the property initially. And my concern in the original variance that I triggered in my original review was the fact that it was potentially, filling within 5 feet of a property line in a steep slope area. I did not see that necessarily addressed, in the plan that was brought forth tonight. So I would maybe ask that the Mr. Carriega could, confirm that area is or is not steep slope within steep slope area. Of course, it was graded level. It was somewhat graded level for the septic system, but the septic system was inlet into an area that could be steep slope. And at that point, he would have to, remove the fill within 5 feet of the property line or request that variance. As far as the discharge lines, unless they're roof water, there's nothing in the ordinance. I mean, it's absolutely common sense that one should never discharge anything onto one's neighbor's property, but the ordinance only addresses the discharge of roof water. So unless that's roof water, that would probably be a civil matter, I believe. And then as far as the drainage and all, boy, I don't know what we'd do with that.
What about the beach sand?
Well, that actually, we had asked about that. As a matter of fact, Colleen, if you're still here, I believe I believe Colleen was in the office the day that gentleman that just read that comment. Colleen was in the office that day, if I recollect. It was about 1.5 years ago. And it's taken us that long to get here. It's just, waiting for this design, waiting for that design and whatnot. But, I discussed it with Colleen at that point. Maybe she could give us an idea. One would assume one shouldn't be filling in the lake, but I believe she had checked it out with the DEP and they said that was not an issue.
All right,
Can
Colleen?
you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry. So I did check. So this just triggered my memory, and I went back through my emails, and it was June 18th, 2019. I had spoken with the Bureau of Inland Regulation, and they indicated that the owner would need to obtain an individual permit for open water filling as per the Freshwater Wetlands Protection Act. I didn't want to elevate it at that time, so I didn't, I didn't let the compliance and enforcement know about this. But that may be another option for the neighbor, is to alert DEP compliance and enforcement.
Mr. LaJoy, you're muted. Looks like you want to say something. There you go.
Well, I don't, I have to do, it seems hard on me that I have to do a civil problem because he's got a pipe pouring direct 2 pipes onto my property, that I have to initially contact DEP because he's violating the law. I certainly don't have all of those engineering backgrounds and the knowledge that the people on the dais have today and their specialties. I mean, it would be nice if the town would call and report these things or take action on some of the things that I've reported. It's going on a couple of years now, and when I go to the municipal building, I would expect something to be done, or at least give me some more, rather than 3 years later having having to go on to a conference on Zoom. This is hard for me, by the way. I'm not a Zoom professional, and try to justify what's going on. I'd much rather meet with you in person and meet with the mayor and meet with people and say, how do we rectify this situation? Because it has been abuse of this property and my personal property for 3 years now. He's treated my property as his own. He has treated the frontage, the street frontage as his own. And if you don't think that garage is for that backhoe, and when I was there 3 years ago, I complained about the backhoe, and I said, this is a commercial piece of equipment. It should not be on his property. And it's been there for 3 years. Nobody asks him to remove it. And this is his commercial equipment. He does. I think he removes oil tanks. But I'm paying the price. My residential property is totally being devalued, especially by what he's proposing. It's horrible. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to rant.
It's okay.
You got a good list. We'll listen.
Right.
I'd also like to hear more about the enchanted mother-in-law cottage that went up from a shed.
Right. Well, we'll hear all about that in the future. We have a motion on the floor to continue this, and we have a second. We'll continue it until January 19th, I believe it was.
That is correct, with all the clarifications.
Oh,
Who motioned and who second? Because I didn't catch that.
okay.
I motioned.
I second.
Gotcha. Mr.
Alan,
Bongiovanni?
part of the Renee, hold on a second. Part of the things I'd like to say about this, I would like to also get information in January regarding the hot tub, the generator, and propane tank, when they were permitted to be put right on the property line, because that is,
That's my point.
an issue.
I think that whole list has to be looked at in the building department files to see what was permitted and why.
Right.
So that's in addition to what was just requested prior with documentation.
Right.
I mean, obviously, if there was an addition put on the house, from what Jay was saying, there's got to be some other plans or something from back in the 90s, I guess, or 2000s.
Was that house actually owned by Robinson?
Yeah, yes, it was. He actually took a cottage and turned it into a house.
Oh, great.
Okay, Danielle.
We good? Mr. Bongiovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney?
Yes.
Mrs. Crock?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Councilman Schindler?
Yes.
Mayor Francis?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes. So, Mr. Calabella and Mr. Carriega, you have lots of work to do to come before us again, lots of things to show us.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming tonight.
All right, thank you.
We have one more. We have Anthony Gangemi, Block 30408, Lot 24, 227 Lakeside Boulevard. The mayor and councilman are going to recuse themselves because this is a use variance. And the reason it's a use variance is because when the house on the property burned down, it was not replaced immediately, and therefore the whole thing became a use variance because there is a 3-family structure in the R1 zone along with this. I was going to ask the board to simply stipulate the fact that it is a non-conforming, pre-existing non-conforming use. However, I was told that we can't do it that way. So,
Mr. Chairman, I recuse myself on this issue.
thank you. And Mr. Schindler?
Yes, I recuse myself also.
Okay. Mr. Gangemi, you want to, who is going to be here testifying with you?
Mr. Gilbert, it's Ronald S. Heyman from Heyman and Fletcher on behalf of Mr. Gangemi, and I have Ms. Caldwell as our planner.
Okay, so we'll have to have Mr. Gangemi and Ms. Caldwell sworn in.
I see. Yep, here we go. Thank you.
Ms. Caldwell, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and
Anthony Gangemi.
where's Mr. Gangemi? Mr. Gangemi, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Are you the applicant, and what is your address?
The applicant, my address is 85 Rockaway Drive, Boonton Township, New Jersey, 07005.
And this property? Your hair-
Property 227 Lakeside Boulevard in block 30408, lot 24.
Very good.
Mr. Chairman, if you just give me one moment, I just want to give you a brief overview. I think you said something in the beginning, which is more in line with what we want to talk about.
Sure.
Mr. Gangemi is the applicant in this matter, and you're exactly right. This is a property that has a existing three-family located on it. And I won't say once upon a time, but a little bit ago, it had a single-family residence on the property, which was unfortunately totaled in a fire. And when Mr. Gangemi will testify in a moment, when he purchased the property, it was his understanding that the previous owner had gotten approvals for the new owner, being Mr. Gangemi, to be able to construct a home in the same location, which is what his intended use is for him to live there. And that's sort of my overview. And if you give me a few moments to talk to Mr. Gangemi, I think we can get that record straight, and then my planner will go through the variances and the issue of abandonment also, okay?
Okay.
So, Mr. Gangemi, they've sworn you in. We know you're living in Boonton, but you are the applicant and seeking to, or you're the purchaser of this particular property. Am I correct?
Yes, it's my son is a purchaser, and we're buying it. We're going to live there together.
Okay, and so you and your son intend to construct what was your intent when you first purchased the property or entered into the contract, was your understanding that you would be permitted to rebuild the property in the same location, correct?
Yes, I was told it was to be grandfathered in.
And so you know, I know you presented pictures before of the property that was located there, you know, before it burnt down. And I know you've also given some architectural renderings. But why don't you tell the board what is it that you intend to build in that particular location?
A two-story single-family home, same square footage that was there.
Okay, and you're going to use the exact foundation. Am I correct?
Yeah, same foundation.
The water, the property itself is serviced by city water, correct?
No, we have
I'm sorry, city sewer.
city sewer. Yes.
Unfortunately, so I can't read my own writing. And you have a well there that services both properties, correct?
Correct.
And when did the house burn down, by the way?
2017.
All right, we did get a report when you started this application back on your own, back I believe August or sometime in that time frame before myself and Ms. Caldwell got involved, and there was a report from Mr. Rushke of August 26, 2020, and he had made a recommendation for you to remove the shed. And you don't have any objection with regard to that, am I correct?
None.
Same with the oil tank. He wants you to remove that and a portion of the wood dock that I guess imparts itself on Renine Lane, the Renine Lane right away. You have no problem with those requests, correct?
The dock I'm not familiar with, but I would move it if need be.
Okay, yeah, I don't know exactly where that is. I'm not familiar with Renine Lane, but I assume that a portion of it might encroach onto Renine Lane, and that's why he wants you to at least remove a piece of that.
Yes.
Just for clarification, that is correct. Renine Lane is the right-of-way that runs parallel to the property from Lakeside Boulevard down to Lake Hopatcong. And the three encroachments we identified were in fact the shed, the oil tank, and a portion of the existing dock that currently, on the current survey, encroach in that right-of-way.
Okay. And you don't have any objection with that, so, as part of a potential approval, correct?
Correct.
And I think the property also has, I believe, it has a boathouse. I believe we spoke about yesterday or today about, correct?
Correct.
And dock space. You're located on the lake.
Correct.
All right. I don't really have anything else, Mr. Chairman, of Mr. Gangemi. I think the more important part will be the testimony of Ms. Caldwell.
Yeah, I just have one question. Mr. Gangemi said that he was told that he would be grandfathered. Who told you that, please?
Bill Donegan, I went into him in February, and in February he went to the town attorney, and the town attorney then, I have a phone call from Mr. Donegan on this February 17th saying, yes, we will grandfather you in using the old, I don't know the right terminology, is the variances or zoning, I don't know the right terminology.
Okay, and now was that before or after you purchased the property?
That was prior.
Thank you.
And just so the record's clear, Mr. Gangemi, then it was later told us that there had been a misunderstanding as far as the town was concerned with regard to the state regulations and the percentage of the building that had burnt down. I believe that's why there was maybe a mistake, and that's why we're here today. Am I correct?
Yeah, I learned that many months later.
Yes. And at that point in time, you'd already purchased the property. Am I correct?
Yeah, I bought it on saying I was being grandfathered in.
Right. Okay. And I know you have a time, you have some, it's your intention for you and your son to live in the single family and obviously to continue to maintain the 3-family. You've got some time restraints. Am I correct?
Absolutely correct.
Where you're living, I believe that there's an end date of sometime beginning of late March or early April. 2000.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. I don't have anything else, Mr. Gilbert. If you'd like, I will speak with Ms. Caldwell.
Sure. Go right ahead.
Jessica, I think you're still muted. Okay.
I'm
Mr. Chairman,
unmuted.
Mr. Chairman, I think Ms. Caldwell has testified before your board in the past as a professional planner. You know, she represents multiple towns in Sussex County, but I will certainly volunteer her if you'd like me to do so.
I don't remember Ms. Caldwell, so if you don't
Okay.
mind.
Well, she goes with me wherever I go, and I know I've been there, but let's see what we can do. So,
I think it has been a little while since I've
Yeah,
been
maybe we haven't
before
been
your
there.
board.
Yeah, why don't you give your
Jessica
background?
Caldwell. I've been a practicing planner for over 20 years. I'm licensed in the state of New Jersey. I'm certified by the American Institute of Certified Planners. I have a master's degree in urban and regional planning from Portland State University and a bachelor's in planning, public policy, and management from the University of Oregon. I have a consulting firm in Newton in Sussex County, and I represent several municipalities. I've also testified with Ron before several boards as well as other boards, and counting over 250 now where I've been accepted as an expert in planning.
Okay, is there any objection on the part of the board to accepting her as an expert witness? Okay, seeing none.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Caldwell, so Mr. Gangemi simultaneously with retaining myself, retain you to appear before the board and to address the issues that I'm going to speak about in 1 second. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I think go ahead and give an overview. I know there's multiple variances. Obviously, most importantly, are some of the D variances that we need. But I'll let you go ahead and run with the ball for a bit, and
okay.
Then I'll follow in if there's anything left to clean up. Let's say.
So as we discussed, it's 227 Lakeside Boulevard, block 30408, lot 24. It's in the R1 single family residence zone. The site is pre-existing non-conforming for lot area where it's 11,858 square feet existing, where 15,000 square feet is required. Minimum lot width is 120 feet required and 60 feet is existing. There are retaining wall setbacks at 5 feet required where 0 feet is existing. So those are all pre-existing nonconformities. Likewise, there was a 1988 certification by the planning board at the time of a non-conforming use for a 3-family residence and a 1-family residence on the site. As far as variances go, there's a variance required for side yard setback where 10 feet exists. 10 feet is required and 0 feet is proposed and exists. A variance is required for maximum lot coverage at 35% is permitted and 52.5% is existing and proposed. A variance is required for maximum building footprint where 20% is allowed and 22.46% is existing and proposed. A variance is required for failing to meet the required distance from a lake or stream where 50 feet is required and 0 feet is existing or proposed. A variance is required for off-street parking. 8 are required and 4 are proposed or existing. And a variance is required for the restoration of a building where any variances are required and the building is destroyed. Again, the subject building was burnt down in a fire in 2017. A variance is required for having more than one principal structure on the lot. And a D1 use variance is required for having the one family in addition to the 3 family on the lot. So those are the variances. Essentially everything except for the single family residence that is being proposed to be replaced on the existing building footprint are existing conditions, and there's no proposed changes.
I might make one correction. In
Okay.
1988, there was no land use board. It was the zoning board of approval.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So Jessica, why don't you go into the issues with regard to, this sort of was why we're here. The fact that the property, had been, the single family was there and it burnt down, and unfortunately it burnt down in totality, only with, I believe an existing foundation there, and where we are today and the abandonment issue.
Right, so the issue was that it did have that pre-existing non-conforming use certification, and then it burnt down in 2017. The property owner at the time did apply for and was approved for a zoning permit to replace the structure. Unfortunately, there was a lapse in time and the structure was not replaced. And again, there was an application in 2020 to replace the existing structure, which wasn't completed. And then Mr. Gangemi went under contract and is now proposing to rebuild the structure. I think given the period of time that has passed and the fact that multiple applications have been presented to the municipality and there has been an ongoing effort to replace the structure, I don't believe there was any intent to abandon the use on the site.
And as you said before, previously there had been 2 principal uses on this same property. So we're just trying
certified,
to there
yeah,
before.
and that was certified by the board. And what we're proposing to replace is exactly the same as what was certified before.
And you sure don't see that there would be any negative impact on the borough's zoning code by granting this, in light of the fact that this had been there for many, many years before the fire unfortunately took it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big piece of it. We also looked at surrounding residences. Within 200 feet, there are 11 residences. 6 of those are 2 families. So over 55% of the surrounding area is more than single family. And so the proposal has been on the site. I believe the certification for the pre-existing non-conforming use was since prior to 1956. So it has been on the site for quite some time, as well as it fits into the neighborhood in terms of there being other more than single family, 2 families on the property. I do think it meets the D1 use variance criteria. In purpose A, to encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use or development of all lands to meet the general welfare. The master plan for the borough envisions the creation and maintenance of residential neighborhoods and the improvements of the appearance of the community. You have an existing burnt down structure with just an abandoned, not abandoned, but just an existing foundation on the property. Rebuilding an pre-existing structure on the site will improve the visual look of the area and the community. Purpose E is to encourage the establishment of appropriate population densities. This site has existed as a 3-family and a 1-family for many, many years, and it allows for this use to continue. Also, the 2012 Highlands Area Master Plan element has some relevant goals essentially is to maintain the essential character of the borough around the lake and the proposed uses in keeping with that, and to encourage the state development and redevelopment plan and smart growth strategies. We think the proposal also encourages that. With respect to negative criteria, the site has been pre-existing without any negative impacts to the neighborhood, so I don't think there's any substantial detriment to the public good. And in terms of the zone plan or the master plan, I think the certification of the pre-existing non-conforming use addresses that issue. With respect to all the other variances, they're essentially pre-existing non-conforming and existed at the time. And we think it's a better planning alternative to replace the structure over the existing foundation, and that the benefits of doing that outweigh any detriments. And again, we don't see any negative impacts to the neighborhood or to the master plan or the zone plan with respect to any of the bulk variances proposed. So in summary, I believe that the board is well within its rights to grant these variances and allow the application to go forward. I'd be happy to take any additional questions.
Just before you do, I want to just follow up with one more with Mr. Gangemi. I saw Mr. Rushke's report, and Ms. Anello will probably chime in. There's a question, if you're granted this approval, as to how you will access, Anthony, how you'll be able to access for construction purposes. I guess you would go through the Rennie Lane right-of-way. Is that what you anticipate?
I was told at the hearing I would request for use of that for the construction.
Okay. Okay, I just want to make sure we cover that because it's in the Rushke report. All right, then, Mr. Chairman, whatever questions you'd like to ask of Ms. Caldwell or of Mr. Gangemi, fire away.
Okay, so getting back to that use of Rennie Lane as construction access, you have to identify that on the plans, okay?
Okay.
I would also like to add a note too, that if that is going to be identified as the construction access, that, it be restored to its pre-existing condition, upon conclusion of the work. I think at this point, from what I've seen on the site visit, it looks like a lot of overgrown vegetation, so restored and possibly improved when the work is.
Well, I'd like to add about Running Lane too. I've also asked, I forgot the person's name, but I've also asked to purchase that as well, and they're in the process of going through the engineering of that as well. So that might take care of a lot of that.
Okay, absolutely, yeah. That would it wouldn't actually be a purchase; it would be a vacation of a right of way because that's an existing paper street there, which would mean that it would be split in half between you and your neighboring property.
Yeah, Mr. Gangemi, we'll talk about that off the record.
Right. Not to confuse you or anything,
but just so you know, Ms. Anello and Mr. Gilbert, if he doesn't accomplish that goal, I don't think there's a plan submitted, just a survey. It would be more than okay if we just doctor up the survey if we're going to use that as a means of telling you that.
Yeah, I think to document the existing conditions.
Yeah, but we'll push ahead. I'll talk to Anthony, tomorrow morning. Hopefully you'll grant us our approvals and we'll talk about the next steps to getting the lane vacated. That would be better for everybody. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, does anybody from the board have questions, comments?
Plenty. Regarding parking, there's going to be four buildings or 4 tent spaces there, if you will, with 4 parking spots. What's the consideration for the additional cars? I've been to the site and parking looks pretty tight over there. How are you contemplating handling that?
Well, there's actually 5 spots. I mean, one more
trailer there in one of the spots, right?
My plan was use that for the construction and take that out of there once construction was done.
Okay, so all right, so you're still
short. I understand.
Yeah, with 4 tenants there, if you will.
Well, it's the 3 units are only 3 1-bedrooms, so it's 1 car each, and it says it in their lease, 1 car, and that would leave 2 for the single family house.
But what's the code? Isn't it required 2 per unit?
2 per unit.
Right. And we're pretty stringent on parking, aren't we, Alan? With every application?
Yes, we are, except for pre-existing.
Well, I mean, we have a 15,000-foot minimum lot. We have another condition where we want to put another sizable structure, regardless of whether it was there or not, that, now we have 4 units on a thing. Now, whether you have 2 in other areas, we have 4. Is this based on city water, this property?
No, it's well.
He's
It's
got a
well.
well that services both structures.
Okay, and what about
But it's septic. I mean, it's city
City
sewer.
sewer.
city sewer?
City
Okay,
sewer, well.
are there 4 connections for that? How many connections?
I know there's 2 heads, and I pay, I think, for three units and 1 unit. I think it's a 3-family house and a 1-family house, so I think there's 2. I don't know what the right terminology is, but there's 2 spots where they say that.
Plus, we also have a boathouse on a property that's an undersized unit. Regardless of whether it's pre-existing non-conforming, there's a lot of activity going up. We don't have compliance with the parking. We have 9 variances desired. We have a tremendous amount of could I have, even though it was there at one time, doesn't mean you have to put everything back. I don't believe that you need to put everything back. I just think it's overpopulating a site. And whether there's a 2-family house next to it, this is 4 families. This is
I don't think we're
excessive
putting
for an
any-
undersized lot.
Mr. Duncan, I don't think we're putting anything new. We're keeping the property exactly as it was before the fire burnt it down, going back into the either the 50s or the 60s. So I would see your point if I was asking to enlarge this property, but
I have a boathouse on it. When was
What's
the
that?
boathouse put up? When was the boathouse put up?
Mr. Jimmy, you know when the boathouse has been, how long it's been there?
I think the record showed it was been there since the 50s or 60s as well. It's been there forever.
It was part of the certification of the non-conforming use. They didn't certify it for any use besides storage and use for a boat.
I mean, think we got a lot of use on that property to approve another, even though the house was there. I just think we're jamming so much on the side of these mountains that we're overpopulating it, and it's more of a detriment than restoration.
Well, I might agree with you if it was brand new, but in this case, there was a fire at home. We're not looking to expand the footprint. We're going to build in the exact same spot. So obviously great minds can differ, and, you know, I understand your opinion on it, but, you know, I think we're putting back what was there before.
What some of these variances can be deleted here if changes are made? Because, you know, one of the things we get criticized a lot for on this board is the fact we seem to give blanket, you know, variance approval on everything. And nothing's ever heeded to us that we get some of them reduced. We have not.
But I'll have Ms. Caldwell answer that, but I don't think there's a variance that can be eliminated. They're really, although we're asking for new variances, they're really all pre-existing non-conforming variances. They were all there before the house burned down. And the fact that we're building a house in the exact same location doesn't change any of those variances.
But
I
it
hear
also
you.
doesn't mean you have to build everything in a wrong way. You try to correct errors. Are we correcting anything, or we just say, well, whatever was there was fine?
Well, I have a question. I'm trying to get clarified on something. The fire occurred, and the existing owner, if he went ahead within a certain period of time and built a new house, he would have had no problem at all getting approval. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's correct.
So the only difference between that and what we're asking for today is the ownership changed and the time limits changed.
That is correct, sir.
So I don't, you know, we approved, you know, the fact that the ownership changed doesn't bother me at all. And the fact that it's taken a little longer to go ahead and put up a new building doesn't bother me at all. I'm all for it. So anyway.
I tend to agree with you, Phil, and I point out that you can't stretch the property at all. You know,
Yes, he can if he buys that piece of property to the left.
4 or 5 parking spots, and that's all there is. I might point out that one of the vehicles being parked there right now might just might violate a recent ordinance bill. It might not. I don't know the weight limit on that van that's parked there.
But if they buy that lane, Rennie Lane, boy, that's going to give them another. How many feet's that going to give them? Another 10 or 15 feet? That gives them more. That gives them more parking space.
As we saw that, if that's abandoned, they get half of that. So that's 7.5 feet.
So that'd give him one more parking space, right?
Yeah.
Right, and I would make that recommendation that if the applicant does procure that property, and if they could put an additional parking space in, at least to get the property closer in conformance to the number of parking spaces, I think that would be a benefit, to the property owner as well, to have one more additional parking space.
And we'd have no objection to that, Ms. Anello, and obviously it probably buttresses our position with the town, who probably doesn't need the paper street anyway. So I think that would be a double win for everybody. So we would certainly agree to that as a condition, that if we can obtain Rennie Lane, which we will make every effort to do, that we will utilize that as an additional parking space.
So this is Anthony. I just want to make sure that I'm clear, and I guess this is more directed to the town attorney. After the house burned down, even though the structure was 100% destroyed, if the prior owner had applied to rebuild, the law would have allowed him to rebuild at that time. Is that a true statement?
Do you have an attorney on the line?
Yes, we do. We have Michelle here.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
Hi, here I am. Hi. As long as after the house had burned down, within 12 months, had the owner applied, then that would not have been abandonment.
And did the owner apply within 12 months?
Yeah, yes, they did.
So the question is, when did the owner apply, and when did that 12 months end?
Mr. Schouten, the owner, did apply, and I would venture to say it was within a month of the fire, maybe even sooner. But the other issue that is the reason we're here tonight, truly, is the fact that our reconstruction ordinance used to allow the rebuilding of anything less than 100% destruction. And it included the fact that even if it was part of the foundation that was left, you could rebuild that structure, same size, same location, without any increasing in variances. The borough changed that ordinance this past spring, and basically did away with the partial destruction is still there, but the less than 100% was removed, putting us, I understand, more in the line with municipal land use law, and ultimately that's what triggered this issue.
Got it. Thank you for that.
Is the floor area of the new house the same floor area as the old house? Not just the profile of the foundation, but area, footage, bathrooms, etc.
Actually, the square footage is going to be less. As for bedrooms, I think it's the same, and bathrooms it's the same, but square footage, it will be less.
Okay. Anything else from the board? Let's open it up to the public. Would anybody from the public like to comment or question this application? Anybody at all from the public?
I don't see anyone, Alan.
Okay, I'll bring it back to the board. Would somebody from the board like to make a motion on this?
With what stipulations, Alan?
Yes.
There's got to be stipulations on this, right?
Well, the stipulation is going to be that if they obtain Rennie Lane, that they add at least one parking spot.
Okay.
Also, if they don't obtain Rennie Lane, that it remains a municipal right-of-way, that any access through there and any disturbance due to that is restored to its pre-existing condition.
Right,
once that's complete.
And that they remove the 3 encroachments.
Correct, the 3 encroachments. However, again, if they do acquire that property, those would no longer be encroachments, and they would no longer need to be removed.
Well, unless they go more than halfway, in which case they would either have to remove them or get an easement.
That is correct. It does not appear that they go more than halfway, but we can certainly verify that, particularly as it relates to the shed. That's the only one that might be close.
Mm-hmm. Shouldn't you stipulate that it has 4 sewer connections, since it's 4 residences technically, 4 units?
No, I don't think that's within our purview.
That would go to the utilities and how they calculate their units, and that would be based on the number of units on the property.
Right.
So.
Well, there's 4 units.
Yeah, but they
Correct.
put,
There were
they
three
put,
single-family, 3 one-bedroom units and 1 multiple 2-bedroom dwelling. Is that what the other one is?
3-bedroom.
3-bedroom dwelling. So those would be accordingly. I believe it's half a unit for each 1-bedroom and then a full unit for the single-family dwelling.
Really see. What is your meeting?
Make sure it's compliant.
Absolutely.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. Bill Riley.
Oh, wait.
Okay, and that's with the conditions.
Yep.
I'll second.
Mark?
Mr. Bongiovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Duncan?
No.
Mr. Gaffney?
Yes.
Mrs. Crock?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes. Okay, you.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if I'm out of time with it, but I know you'll memorialize it next month, but so that my client can at least make an application for his building permit, because I know it'll take time. Can we waive the memorialization? But still, we'll need the written document.
Okay, would somebody like to make a
Oh,
motion?
wait a minute. Just a second. He's got to buy that piece of property first. How long's that going to take?
Well, no, he doesn't. No, that's conditional. If he gets it. If he doesn't get it, then he's got to do other things.
Okay.
And we're going to do that, Mr. Riley. It just may take a month or so because we got to go to the town council and we got a few things to do in the process.
I promise you that the wheels are already in motion to obtain that.
Okay, good.
And I was told that it had to go for auction, and that's how I had to buy it. So it's already in motion. They're looking for the engineer report to finalize it because of I think it's because of the sewer system that's on that.
We'll follow up then. That's fine. Thank you.
Let me just check something. Danielle, did we pass that?
Yes.
We have enough positive votes?
Yes.
Okay. All right, then somebody want to make a motion for waiver of memorialization?
I'll make that motion.
That was Mr. Gaffney. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Anthony.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Bongiovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Duncan?
Abstain.
Mr. Gaffney?
Yes.
Mrs. Crock?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes. Mr. Gangemi, thank you very much for everything that's gone on, and good luck to you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Thank you for your time tonight.
Ms. Caldwell, thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Okay. All right, that takes care of all applications. Zoning officer report. Bill, do you have anything?
Hey, Alan, we didn't open that up to the public.
Yes,
What?
we did.
Did we?
Sure
Yep.
we did.
Yes, you did.
Bill, do you have any?
Very good.
Nothing on my end.
Good. Discussion. Any discussion necessary? No resolutions. Correspondence, we already took care of. No escrow refunds. Bills, should we pay the 2 or 3 bills?
Pay the bill.
Pay the bills.
Mr. Bongiovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Duncan?
Yes.
Mr. Gaffney?
Yes.
Mrs. Crock?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Councilman Schindler?
Yes.
Mayor Francis?
Yeah.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes. I will now open the meeting to the public for any comments, any questions, anything at all you would like to bring before this board. Colleen Lyons.
Yes,
Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to say a quick thank you for addressing our letters at the beginning of the meeting.
Oh,
Appreciate that.
well, thank you very much for sending them in a more timely manner.
We try. That was a lot. Five in one night for us. So.
Yes, well, I got 3 of them the other day and had plenty of time to look them over, and then I got the others yesterday, so we're okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Anybody else want to address the board on any matter at all?
World Series. Dodgers are up by 6-1.
That's too bad.
I needed a laugh.
Anybody else? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. Old business?
One thing, if you haven't sent me pictures for your ID badges, I need them because I
Okay.
can't send them over to Wade until I get everybody's, and I only have 3. So if you gave me an application, please email me a picture.
What size?
Doesn't matter, I can resize it.
Am I missing or?
Can you make it look better?
I can try.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
You'll be just fine, Judy.
Did you
I
get
don't
mine?
think
Something,
so.
is this something that John or I need to submit to you or not for?
No, you're good.
board members? Okay.
You should just take pictures of us on when we're on the meeting.
Trust me, I thought about it.
Okay. Anything else? Any new business?
I also have one thing for new business.
Yes, you would.
Next, in November, we're going to be having a discussion about stormwater.
Okay.
I am not printing it out. It is 95 pages long.
Ah,
It is on our website, so at your leisure, go ahead. Read up on it. It'll be
I think
noted, and we're going to have the discussion in November.
Yeah, I think we should have John Rushdie give us some abstracts on that, or Samantha, and give us some guidance as a land use board, what we need to be paying attention to, and do the Cliff Notes version.
Absolutely. Whether it's myself or John on that night, one of us will be ready to give you the short version of the changes.
Yeah,
to the
there's some
stormwater
trigger,
maintenance manual.
there's some trigger issues that we have to take a look at that are a little bit different than what we normally do.
Correct.
The question is, will we get that before the 15th board meeting?
I
Will you
believe,
get the,
Danielle, it's already on the website, the draft?
It's already on the website.
so can you get a small version or summary to us?
Nope, popcorn.
From our end? Sure, we can get a memo with the, we'll get you a memo with the, the summary, the basic changes and things like that.
The key issues, the changes that we need to pay attention to.
Absolutely, we can do that for
Before
you.
the
We'll get that
15th.
to you next week sometime, so you have plenty of time to digest it. And if you want to read through all 96 pages, you can still do so.
sure, got nothing else to do.
Speak for yourself.
Can't go anyplace.
Well,
You
the
can't
state
fall
might
asleep
even,
at night. It'll help.
the state might even get smart and start encouraging people to use pervious pavement and pervious concrete. You're just saying.
Possible.
Okay, is there anything else for the good of the order? Seeing none, I will ask Judy.
I thought Justin was there.
No, he's not here.
Justin's a new
Oh.
daddy.
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned.